Live. Oh, yeah. We're broadcasting to you live, but if you want to hear me in perfect audio, I need a blue snowball. And now you can hear me through my microphone. Hello, everybody. My name is Engelman. Yes, Blake, go ahead.
All right, so you sound better. Yes, and I am Blake Walley. Oh, look at the fonts for Halloween. Isn't that cool? Brian was up all night making those, designing that. Yep, all Halloween themery.
Yep. On the right-hand side, there's a jack-o'-lantern, and I clicked it, and everything went spooky. So that was the extent of me staying up all night. That would be last night, but today's Thursday, October the 26th, just a few days away from Halloween 2023. This is the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media because the old American media has failed you. Welcome, everybody. Please leave your comments and join the conversation. Make sure you're following Blake Walley. He is on Twitter at TV's Blake Walley. That's Walley. That was a weird first W I tried to say. He's also on thenextlevelnews.com. Once you follow him, make sure you follow the Agree to Disagree show and the New American Media and TNAM in all of the places. Yes, all of the places. We're everywhere. So I just wanted to kind of talk about something before we got today's show rolling. The main topic of today's program shall not be infringed. You know, there was a recent story that came out. You may have heard of it. In fact, on Tuesday, we kind of shared a little bit of how Karine Jean-Pierre, she was asked a question about Israeli Jewish hate crimes and whatnot. And she said, well, I just want to be clear. Muslims and people identifying as Muslim have had a lot of backlash and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. She took about 6 seconds and pivoted off of the question to say, no, Jews aren't victims here. No, it's Muslims that are the victims. So that was her talking point. In preparing for today's show, shall not be infringed, did a quick Google search. And I was like, all right, just kind of so I'm up to date. What are we talking about with this recent attack on October 7th? God, that was 19 days ago already. You know, you heard reports in the beginning, a couple hundred. You heard, maybe 700. No, it's more than 1,400 Israeli deaths, I believe, including at least 33 Americans, by the way. Our blood was spilled over there. And that's also 5,000 injuries. So roughly 6,400 people slaughtered, abused, slashed, shot, all sorts of atrocities. And when you saw those paragliders coming in from the sky, what's the first thing you think? All right, cool, target practice. Pull out what you got, take them out. But when I did this search, I was looking around for the numbers, just trying to make it known. What did Google show me? They pulled a Karine Jean-Pierre. Let me show you exactly what happened when I asked them one very specific question. So it's super important that you understand how to get your news and where you can never trust your news. Never trust Google, ever. So here, am I sharing it, or I guess I got to double click?
Yeah, yep.
Two-factor. Infinite wisdom, Restream takes you to a different page, and you think that you're on it, but here we go. So this is exactly, literally, word for word, verbatim, what I typed in for show preparation today. How many Israelis died in 2023? Because, by the way, if you want to know how many Israelis were killed by Hamas, other than 2023, that number is going to be massive as well because these people can't stop killing their neighbors. So I did the search for how many Israelis died in 2023 by Hamas. Very simple question. Here's the top story from Al Jazeera. Oh, here's children killed in Gaza. Oh, there's blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay. Palestinians were killed. Oh, okay. Preparing for a ground incursion. Oh, okay. They wouldn't even answer the damn question. They did exactly what Ilhan Omar did when she was asked by the Fox News reporter. She lost her mind. How many people have to die? How many people have to die? You know, this is the equivalent of running in and punching somebody in the face in school. And then when they get ready to defend themselves, they run behind the teacher and go, can't hit me, can't hit me, can't hit me. Piss off. Yes, you can. I'm so sick of this stuff. So I really want everyone to be aware of what we're looking at when we try to even type an answer in here. They're like, oh, here's how many Palestinians were killed in Israel in Gaza. Like, get out of here with that crap. They don't even answer the question. It's right out of the Barack Hussein Obama playbook, nonstop. So as I was doing the show prep for Shall Not Be Infringed today's show, it just got me thinking. Because we're going to discuss a big story that happened, what was it, last night, this morning, sometime between last night and this moment now. There was a mass shooting in Lewiston, Maine, and now guess what? You're hearing in the same media that won't answer any question accurately, intellectually, honestly. They always pivot and play these word games. What you're hearing is, oh, we need an assault rifle ban. No, we don't. We need to ban any politician that's going to try to limit your ability to defend yourself, to defend your family, and to defend your neighborhood and country from monsters that attack. Yes, we're 5 days away from Halloween. Oh, wouldn't that be an interesting time to have a nationwide attack with these 10 million illegal invaders that have swarmed across the border? The same thing that's happened where the federal government has gone in and clipped the barbed wire, razor wire defenses of Texas to let more people flood in illegally. Wouldn't that be interesting if under cover of mask that we had a nationwide attack? Because we're going to have one. It's going to happen. And you better have something on your hip. You better have something at your home. You better have multiple options for multiple scenarios. And you better be trained. Having a guitar in your closet doesn't make you a musician any more than having a firearm in the closet does make you capable of self-defense. You need ammunition, you need training, and you need the mental fortitude to understand how to act in stressful situations. I took a training course with my brother, and you had to run, and you had to drop, and you had to lay down, you had to hit a couple targets, then you had to get up, and you had to run over the next one, pull out a different weapon, and use that one. Then you're out of ammunition there. Then you had to do the crawl on your elbows. And at that point, your chest is beating, your heart is racing, the adrenaline is pumping through you. Good luck trying to keep an accurate sight on your target. This is training. That's what happens when you play the guitar. What is it, 10,000 hours? Macklemore sang about that, 10,000 hours. And it's the classic line. Who the heck said that about becoming an expert at anything? You got to put your 10,000 hours in. Blake, do you know the answer to that one? Putting you on the spot.
No, but I can say from experience that I bought a Fender thinking, oh, this will be great. I'll learn how to play the guitar. And then realizing very quickly, this is going to take years to get good at. And so then I just bought Guitar Hero on the PlayStation. I mastered that in a few hours, and I loved it. That was good. I was pretty good at that game for a while. It's very fun.
That is a great game.
Playing a real guitar is much, much more complicated, and it takes a lifetime to master.
Of course. And it was Malcolm Gladwell in his book. He says he repeatedly refers to the 10,000-hour rule, asserting that the key to achieving true expertise in any skill is simply a matter of practicing, albeit in the correct way, for at least 10,000 hours. So the number one thing I want you to learn today as we dig into the show, never believe us. You may agree with me. You may agree with Blake. You might disagree with one of us or both of us or none of us. Doesn't matter. Never believe anything you hear anywhere. You have to find other reasonable people who have a solid track record of not lying to you in your face, not taking your question and twisting it to manipulate the situation, thinking they're slick like Ilhan Omar or Karine Jean-Pierre or Barack Hussein Obama or Joe Biden. Never trust anything, verify it. Also, get prepared. Get prepared. There are millions of people, many of them who do not like us, who do not like this country, who blame the people living here for the idiocy of Joe Biden, Barack Hussein Obama, and the other idiots who have disgraced that office. Get ready. Get prepared. And just remember, shall not be infringed. Just wanted to get that off my chest before I got into today's show, Blake. So obviously we're going to cover that topic. We're also going to cover the following. We're going to ask if you agree or disagree that Speaker Mike Johnson, yes, that's his real name. It sounds like it came out of the generic name generator. I didn't even know this guy was in Congress. Ta-da! Now he's Speaker. Interesting. What was his first action, by the way? Also interesting. But is Speaker Mike Johnson the right leader that America needs? Agree or disagree? Agree or disagree that FBI boss Christopher Wray should face an impeachment inquiry? Once again, I'm going to inquire. How about you just do it? Anyway, we'll get into it. I don't want to waste my A material in the beginning, but you know where I'm standing on that one. If you're watching today's show that's streaming on the Unhappy Hour, I meant to lead with the Unhappy Hour. Sorry if you've been here for a couple of minutes and I'm just now getting to it. We do have a sports show included, so that's why you're here. Agree or disagree that Bud Light is officially cool again after striking a mega deal with the UFC, the fighting championships. So this is a big story. The culture wars are here. TNAM Food and Drink, TNAM Sports, the Agree to Disagree show, the Unhappy Hour, all the things that the New American Media covers. Occasionally they overlap, and I can bring you an Agree to Disagree show in the Unhappy Hour. We're going to talk about UFC and brand partnership, Dana White, and all of those things. Hence, a sports show. It's diagonally, it's tangentially sports related. So we're inviting you to check out today's news. Should you be inclined to watch? If not, please change your channel. Go ahead and find something else to watch. No worries. But, you know, there's an occasional moment in time where it's important to talk to my sports buddies. I got thousands of you, tens of thousands of you. Hey, guys, there's some real important shit going on. Let's talk about that. Other than just, hey, did you see the game last night? Donovan Mitchell hit a three-pointer to beat the Nets, which he did. But that's not for today's show. That's for the sports show. But it crosses from time to time. Also, we're going to get into our favorite topic. This is the topic that never ends. Yes, it goes on and on, my friends. Agree or disagree that American Jews should be persecuted for the actions of Israelis? Agree or disagree that Jews are people of light and Palestinians are people of darkness? Agree or disagree that Zionists, by the way, we got to redefine this word. Apparently, we got to redefine this word because I'm not exactly understanding. Are these supremacists? Are these racists? Or just people who want to have a state of Israel as it exists? So we'll have to redefine the term Zionist, maybe look it up on a different site other than Wikipedia and try to reconfirm what that definition of the word is. But agree or disagree that Zionists are the chosen people of God and we must help them. Also agree or disagree that we should flood Hamas tunnels. And by the way, we're going to call them hummus. We're gonna belittle them in the Cloward and Piven way, to mock and ridicule, and we're gonna call them hummus. We're gonna call them a Mediterranean condiment made of tahini and garbanzo beans and olive oil and salt and pepper and maybe some red pepper flakes and maybe some garlic. I love hummus. I don't love Hamas, but I love hummus. So now we're gonna mock them by calling them a condiment. They're called hummus from now on. I might even type that and change it. But agree or disagree that we should flood hummus tunnels with nerve gas if necessary. So without further delay, I think this would be a wonderful time to launch today's program and get into the show. All right, everybody. Yes, and as you saw in our new opener, our new intro there, that is the sound of explosions, and it's the international symbol of distress because America is a nation in distress now, and we are raising the flag of danger, danger. We're in trouble. That's exactly what we're talking about now. So, Blake, let's get into the first topic of today's program. Agree or disagree that the United States of America should ban assault rifles? Once again, that's like war crime or hate crime, these stupid terms. This is an assault pen if I assault somebody with it. This is an assault stapler if I assault somebody with it. The term assault weapon is so stupid. Anyway, back to it. Agree or disagree, Blake, that the United States should ban assault rifles to prevent new mass shootings? Agree or disagree?
I'm going to disagree with that. Again, it's one of these emotional rushes to judgment. Every time there's a mass shooting, people freak out and they blame the weapon and not the actual perpetrator who used that weapon. And we've got some like mentally ill person in Maine. Sorry, did I lose my connection there?
For a glitch, but
Elon Musk. Okay. Which I'm streaming from. Maybe there's some clouds. I don't know. Anyway, looks like I'm back. But yeah, I don't think they've even caught the guy yet. So he's running around as like a firearms instructor as Army Reserves. And he's shot a bunch of people. I don't even have all of the information here yet. But it's awful tragedy.
Well, tell us what you know. Let's always try to go through the 5 W's. Who is involved? What is the scenario? What happened? When did it happen? Where did it happen? Why did it happen? You know, we know some of these from time to time. We never know everything. Rarely do we know everything.
Rarely. So let's just get this from the Gateway Pundit. This is from a few hours ago. The update is that the main mass shooter, Robert Card, is still at large, may have crossed state lines into Massachusetts. So they've released the photo of the shooter, still running around. Here he is. That's kind of not a very good picture of it. Here's another one here. Army reservist Robert Card shot 22 people dead in Maine, bowling alley, and a bar. May have made a getaway on a jet ski. Moves to Massachusetts, where investigators believe he made off in a blue Chevy Suburban.
What in the world is going on? I mean, the simulation is getting pretty weird right now, this video game that we're inside. You know, we've gone from, dare I say, normal stories, but now we're in the situation where it's about paragliders and jet skis. I mean, what's next? Oh, and he swam off while snorkeling. He hopped into a dirigible and floated off very slowly over the horizon. I mean, what other modes of transportation are next, Blake?
No, I mean, that's pretty impressive, like a Navy SEAL or something. Or it's like he's playing a game of, Grand Theft Auto using multiple transportation vehicles to get around and shoot people, and it's awful. So I guess he's not a firearms instructor, and there's, the information is changing as we go, and it's probably been a few hours. I know it's been trending, so I'm curious if there's been any more updates. I'm surprised he got through the night, because the police and the feds and whoever's following him have, are on blast 24 hours, where I'm assuming this man has got to sleep at some point and maybe get caught up. But here he is. Last known to be operating, and now it's a white 2013 Subaru Outback, but I mean, this has probably changed since then, in Maine. So it just goes back and forth. Trying to get the information has been a little sticky. And it's also a lot of people pushing different information online, which is also confusing. I think our friend Ford Fisher also warned about that in a tweet. This isn't about, getting clicks. It's about, making sure we can get the correct information. So, I don't know, Brian, let's see here. Let's pull up another story out of the Daily Wire. Main shooting suspect was a U.S. military instructor, likely banned from owning guns over mental health issues. So how did he get them? What happened? How did the system fail us? And if this is true, that he does have mental health issues, he was committed to a mental health facility for a period of weeks. It indicates that it was an involuntary commitment, which means that he would have been banned from owning or possessing firearms. So these systems should have worked that way, that he would not have these weapons of destruction. So who do we blame here? The shooter, the gun, or the system? And we can look at, how about a tweet from Donald Trump Jr. The main shooter was, as always, known to law enforcement, previously committed to a mental institution, and prohibited from owning firearms. If only the FBI would stop spying on Catholics, concerned parents at PTA meetings, and MAGA patriots, maybe they'd actually stop real terrorists for a change rather than trying to create them.
Amen. This is the Barack Hussein Obama method of trying to terrorize and demonize the regular American citizen to try to mask what's really going on in the country. It's all such a charade. It's a total misappropriation of resources.
Yeah, as always. And then Elon Musk saying armed citizens vital for democracy's defense, causing the gun control activists to lose their minds. And yes, they usually emotionally freak out about everything before we get all of the facts in. That's kind of par for the course. And so, yes, Elon bore some of that brunt. And there's some good reasons to keep the right to bear arms. And we can't just let a few mentally ill mass shooters cause everybody to lose their rights to own firearms. So as tragic as the mass shootings are, armed citizens are essential to the defense of democracy, Musk wrote, seemingly referring indirectly to the unarmed citizens of, say, Israel, who were slaughtered by armed terrorists. And so the past 3 years have been one long infomercial for the Second Amendment. You had lockdowns and vaccine mandates. You had months of race riots and looting, police being defunded, crime exploding, Soros DAs letting criminals roam free, and then millions of illegals storming the border. Hillary calling for re-education of MAGA supporters. It's there's a lot of reasons. So they're going to lose this argument once again. And let's see what else. I got a couple more on this. Here's a good tweet from a little sequence from Tim Pool saying, I'm going to buy more guns today. And then an Australian said, I would just like to ask, why do you need guns? And someone pointed out, hey, so we don't get locked in camps for having a virus with a 99.9 survival rate. However you want to put that. Not to criticize anything with vaccines or any of that stuff. But what they did in Australia was awful. And they were locking those people down, making mandates. And of course, those people are unarmed. So it's the quickest way to open up a tyranny on your own citizens is by disarming them. So dictators throughout the history would agree. It's pretty easy to control the population when they're unable to defend themselves. You can pretty much do whatever you want. We've got another tweet here from DC Drano. I found this from Cad Jockey, one of our occasional listeners. It says odds of federally banning AR-15, 0. Supreme Court striking down level AR-15 bans in the next few years, 99%. How about gun bans stopping mass shootings, 0%. So stop wasting your time with Fantasyland hysteria and let's work together on actual solutions. Time to bring back mental asylums on a massive scale.
A massive scale. There are so many people in each of our cities that are mental cases that can't take care of themselves, that are threats to the general public. And the fact that these people, the fact that the ACLU and some of these organizations have fought so hard to let them have free reign to terrorize communities. People need help. And I'll get into this when we discuss Bud Light, when we discuss the UFC, but when people need help, the good thing to do would be to actually help them. You don't encourage the behavior of the problem. You don't encourage more of the delusion of the, there's all sorts of reasons why people are out on the streets. But if you really want to help them, you help them. You help them by grounding them in reality. You don't continue a facade. You don't continue, yeah, it's fine that you set up a tent here. Yeah, it's fine that you just scream at people as they walk past and charge at them with weapons. No, it's totally fine. Like, what else are you going to do? What else you're going to do is you remove these people and put them into facilities because they need help. They're mentally ill people. Anyway, we'll get into that a little bit more in that next story, but please continue. Oh, also, I was just going to add this since I had the talking stick. Anytime there's a situation, and there's a lot of people that say it, whether it's John Correa from Active Self-Protection, who's been a previous guest, or whether it's Dan Bongino, or you could go down the list. There's a million people that say this. I don't know who you give credit to, But, there's a 72-hour rule. Oh, also, I saw Patrick Bet-David talking about this. I sent you something on Telegram, I believe, a few minutes before the show started, talking about the George Floyd update. And he said, we need a political party that's the anti-rush to judgment party. There's so much of a desire to just jump to a conclusion and then lock yourself into that position without having any of the information, whether it's George Floyd or Trayvon Martin or the Kenosha kid or the Covington kid or Bubba Wallace or Jussie Smollett or Trevor Bauer. Go down the list. How much of the news is straight bullshit? So when we're talking about this guy that is on the loose, we don't know much. It is important in a time like this to get the story out so that, more people can be aware, if you know people in that area, to help look for them. I never like to use the name of killers, but I guess while we're actively trying to find them, there might be a public benefit to putting the name of them out there. Maybe the name will pop somehow, on a credit card or something. You'd imagine the FBI is looking and what have you. But once again, the FBI is wasting all their resources on grandmothers who strolled in the Capitol for a couple seconds, took a selfie and left, instead of actually going after the bad people. I wanted to add this here. This was on Twitter. I just tweeted this out. If once again, follow Blake. He's at TV's Blake Walley on X. And we are at American_media_. But I just sent this out as a post. So weird not calling it a tweet. From the Patriot Voice, it says, "It is clear as day that they are setting up the Lewiston, Maine shooting to blame MAGA. Robert Card is an Army reservist turned firearms instructor. There are leaked, air quote, leaked messages from the Chan boards that claim he wrote very incendiary posts about, quote, having enough of political correctness and wanting to take out non-whites and how he's had enough. He's also allegedly mentioned how he's been trained to kill and he's good at it. He supposedly even went so far as to use Make America Great Again to get rid of these scum. Next, I'm sure you will see pictures of him with a MAGA hat on or something about QAnon or how his love for Trump caused him to commit such heinous acts. I can see the writing on the wall, and I pray I'm wrong, but I wouldn't put it past these tyrants to try to use this tragedy as a catalyst to start going after MAGA. After all, that Newsweek article about the FBI coming after MAGA came out earlier this month. The timing is pretty uncanny. What do you think? And the final point I wanted to add before I give you the floor again, Blake, is that there was as much as we can trust these reports, but if you're in the area, from Raw's alerts, just saying that the U.S. Coast Guard,
I don't know if they're super accurate, but it's interesting. Yeah, they are sometimes right, but I'm skeptical on some of those that break those stories.
Skeptical of everything, but they're saying the U.S. Coast Guard is hunting for Maine mass shooting suspect Robert Card in the Kennebec River, where they believe he may have escaped aboard his 15-foot Bayliner boat. Okay, so now it's a boat, not a jet ski. Like I said, like we were saying, it's every mode of transportation. He'll be in a kayak or an inner tube before we know it. But anyway, back to you, sir. Please continue.
Well, I really just had one more story left on this particular subject. If I can get that in. One more time.
Make it 0 stories.
But yes, you were saying earlier too, that's another reason for us to have the Second Amendment, especially when they have this porous border. Or you can even look at the top of this Epic Times article, the no farmers, no food. Yeah, we also have the globalists and all these, they're burning down all these food facilities mysteriously. So while they want us to eat the bugs. So there's another good reason to stay armed. But yes, Hamas, Hezbollah terrorists are on U.S. soil waiting for Iran's green light to attack, according to a House hearing, or at least they were told that. The porous U.S. border with Mexico is an immediate national security threat that could explode at a moment's notice. Experts testify, and there could be sleeper cells within that could be, going after us at some point. So yes, we have to be vigilant and we have to keep our Second Amendment until these threats are no longer threats. And even then, it's just good to, you would think it's just good to have. It's part of our culture, and it's a necessary evil in a world of evil, I suppose. So we don't want, a group of terrorists going through your neighborhood. It's time for the citizens to fight back if we have to, because it seems like our leaders in Washington have let us down. And yes, well, we're defunding the police and have the border open, and we're involved in proxy wars. Might be a good time to consider keeping the Second Amendment and not just making an emotional judgment and banning them all because a few screwballs do screwy things. Okay, that's it.
We need to remove any politician that tries to call for the removal or the infringement of our Second Amendment. These are our rights. These are God granted, not government granted. These are not temporary freedoms. These are not temporary privileges. These are permanent rights that we all have. That guy that did what he allegedly did in a bowling alley did not have the right to do what he did, and therefore he will be hunted, hopefully found, hopefully punished with the most severe form of punishment we allow. And yes, that's why I'm pro-death penalty. Period. Hard stop. You know, we saw the story we didn't cover on Tuesday, but those two people that ran over that retired cop, where was that, in Arizona? I forget where that happened. They filmed it and they ran him over while he was on a bicycle.
That was Las Vegas.
And they laughed about it. Vegas, wasn't
yeah.
it? And they were in court laughing about it again and mean mugging the family. And they, the guy that did it, he said, "Oh, I'll be out in 30 days." These people, the death penalty needs to exist for scum like this.
I think they're like 17. They're going to be tried as adults, and they don't know any better. They're just bad kids from broken homes. They just don't care, and their life is a video game. So they're just like the virtual.
I don't know, not knowing any better.
Huh?
That's why pencils have erasers. I mean, you don't know better than to kill people? I don't know. I don't believe it. And if you don't know better, good night into the ground.
I guess they're broken.
Good night.
They're broken.
The you are a disease to society, subhuman animal. Every derogatory. Are you really calling Hamas animals? Yep, absolutely.
Ooh, so that gives you a green light to exterminate them because they're just animals. You can dehumanize your opposition, just like the neocons and the Zionists. You're going to sink to that level, Brian.
We got to get a new definition for Zionists, by the way. But that's why pencils have erasers for those two that ran over that guy on the bike, and they're laughing about it, and they think they're going to be out in 30 days. They should be in the ground in 30 days.
Yeah, that's fine. They're broken individuals, and there's probably no help for them, no hope. So,
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well.
Oh, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough reading all of these spooky fonts. But
it's not topic discussion because this is near and dear to me, but it's also in Las Vegas. Apparently, the work. I don't know if they're striking. Is that official now? That could have been me, but bartending MGM Grand, New York, and I would have been out on the streets. They're going to be replaced by incoming.
The reports that I've heard. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. They're on record. I've seen videos where they're talking about they want to flood the country full of cheap illegal labor so that you can lower the quality of life, so that people that are working don't have a high standard of living anymore. Just keep bringing in people that can work for bare bones and under the table and the least amount possible. They were saying that some of the reports that I've been hearing are that between now and the election, pretty much just about a month away, or I'm sorry, about a year away, you're going to see just about every major union go on strike to try to destroy the economy. What was it last time? It was COVID. Remember that? It was COVID, and it was the race riots. Also, the other story we didn't cover was George Floyd. There was a lawsuit that came out saying, and in getting the information, turns out there was no damage done. No damage done to the neck, no damage done by the knee to the back or the shoulder area. It looked bad, but nothing was done. That guy did not die from the actions of that police officer. He was saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. From the minute he was pulled over and he swallowed all that fentanyl, he overdosed. So that's a huge story I hope we have a chance to get into. But no, what I'm hearing is that the unions are going to pretty much strike across the board. It's going to be one after. Is Ford still on strike? I know that was a massive.
I thought I heard they were making a deal with the United Auto Workers.
Okay. But yeah, that is something to keep an eye on, is nationwide strikes of unions. But anyhow, okay, so there's a manhunt. If you see this guy, be prepared and make sure you get your guitar out and practice it, or else you're not much of a musician. You're no good to your family if you're around the campfire. You go, hey, let me see that. Bling, 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 bling. You sound like a dial-up internet connection when you try to play Sweet Caroline. Come on, man. It's like 3-4 chords. Like, just play the song. EADG, like, let's go. So, yeah, get your guitar out and make sure you know how to use it. So, all right, let's move on to the next topic. There we go. Here we go. All right. Well, Emmer was the speaker. No, he wasn't. We thought Emmer might be the speaker. He ain't. Emmer, we hardly knew ye. We hardly knew ye, Emmer. Who is this? God, I can't read this spooky font. It's terrible. Who is that? Shrubham? I don't know. Who is that?
I'm not sure, but welcome.
Yes. Welcome. All right. Well, Blake, agree or disagree that Speaker Mike Johnson is the right leader that America needs? Agree or disagree? The guy who got his name out of the random generic name generator, is he the leader that America needs? Agree or disagree?
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, even though I could nitpick, but I'm going to go agree so far. I think, somebody I was not familiar with either emerged, not one of the front runners. And then, yes, Tom Emmer was derailed, allegedly, from the word of Donald Trump. Took him down. Well, we can cover that story. So, yeah, there's things to like and maybe things not to like. But I think certainly he's more of the Make America Great type of candidate and not a lifelong neocon rhino swamp creature. So that's a positive. So we can get into it. I got a few stories. How about we'll start. Whoops, let me pull this up. Okay, this is out of the Epic Times again. Matt Gaetz saying Johnson's speakership proves that MAGA is ascendant in the GOP and the swamp is on the run. And Mr. Gaetz also accused McCarthy of trying to sabotage the 3 recent speaker nominees. Yes, he was trying to get himself back in as the speaker. And
I really dislike McCarthy. I really dislike that guy. Remember, he was part of that Young Guns. Remember the Young Guns? What was it? Paul Ryan, McCarthy. They wrote that book. It was like, oh, the new young conservative leadership. Good Lord, what a scam that turned out to be.
Yeah, definitely. But Matt Gaetz on Wednesday declared the election of Mike Johnson as House Speaker a sign of strength of the MAGA movement and the waning power of the swamp. So after a 3-week leadership void in the House, the GOP conference chose Mr. Johnson as their speaker nominee. Yeah, because we did a show Tuesday, and we just basically finished the show, I think, believing that Tom Emmer was pretty much the nominee. It was a done deal, and he kind of took over by surprise. That might be Byron Donalds, or who knows, or it would just be vacant for a few months. But Matt Gaetz, who led the motion to oust Kevin McCarthy, the former speaker, touted Johnson's victory as exemplary of the growing power of the MAGA movement on Capitol Hill. So the swamp is on the run. MAGA is ascendant. If you don't think that moving from McCarthy to MAGA Mike Johnson shows the ascendance of this movement and where the power in the Republican Party truly lies, then you're not paying attention. And let's see. We've got another article here. Democrats already losing their minds over the election of Mike Johnson. So that's also positive. That was one of the reasons I liked Jordan, is because they were freaking out.
So what are they saying?
Yes,
why are they freaking out? Like, what are they saying?
Here, take a look at Katie Porter, who says he's anti-abortion, anti-LGBTQ, anti-Social Security, anti-Medicare, anti-democracy. And then she says insurrectionist Mike Johnson is now second in line to the presidency. The American people deserve better. You've got Ilhan Omar, one of your favorites, has the nerve to call Johnson an extremist, saying House GOP has made MAGA extremist Mike Johnson speaker. His notable achievements are the architect of overturning the election, seeking abortion ban, voting against LGBT, Social Security, and Republicans have embraced the extreme MAGA playbook. I don't know about that, and then
anybody that uses the terms extreme MAGA are clowns. Anybody that uses the I word, insurrection, are clowns. If there was an insurrection call, I'm telling you, you would have known about it. You would have noticed. You wouldn't have seen a couple of people do a couple of things. It was a mostly peaceful protest, and then some people did some things. If there was an actual insurrection and a call for that, you would have seen a much different scenario play out on January 6th. These people are intellectually dishonest, to borrow your phrase.
I agree. And this is also, speaking of the insurrection, we've got Trump saying how he torpedoed Tom Emmer's speaker bid, saying, he, quote, killed him. So, just hours after Representative Tom Emmer won the Republican nomination to be House Speaker on Tuesday, former President Donald Trump took to Truth Social to deride the congressman as totally out of touch with Republican voters and a globalist rhino. And he then got on the phone with members to express his aversion for Emmer and his bid for Speaker. Now, that's some power right there. Even after he was elected, all Donald Trump had to do was make a couple of phone calls, and it was done. So by Tuesday afternoon, Trump called one phone call close to him with the message, he's done. It's over. I killed him. And then minutes later, Emmer officially dropped out of the race. So what do you think of that? That's pretty crazy.
I don't know. I'm just kind of wondering why President Trump didn't want to be speaker. He reluctantly kind of played with it a little bit. He played with the idea, but he didn't really seem to have any interest in it. I feel like it would have been a good move in the middle of these lawfare attempts to ruin him, to silence him. How are you going to silence the Speaker of the House? The title is called Speaker. You're saying the Speaker can't speak? That would have been such a good mind meld. That would have been such a good reverse Uno card. I can't speak. I'm the Speaker. You shut up. So I don't know. I'm a little disappointed we didn't get to see Speaker Trump. It's in my name. It's in my title. It says Speaker, and you're trying to gag me? Get out of here.
Oh, absolutely. That would have been awesome. The news cycle would have been spectacular, and the Democrats' meltdown would have been amazing. But we won't get that. And, there's very good things about our new speaker. And, of course, there are some things to maybe nitpick about. Here's one of these things. Of course, neocons fear Speaker Mike Johnson could bring an end to Ukraine war cash, which I would take as a positive because McCarthy just couldn't help himself giving all of our money over to Ukraine, where it just goes into a black hole in a pretty much a losing effort that we have no chance of succeeding over there, to push back on Russia in those parts of Ukraine. So anyway, the recent election of Mike Johnson as Speaker of the House has struck terror in the heart of the Uniparty, with neoconservatives and Democrats fearing that their reckless Ukraine spending may finally be put to an end. But now here we'll go switch this. Newly elected GOP House Speaker Mike Johnson announces his first priority will actually be to fund Israel. So maybe he's not going to give money to Ukraine, but he was certainly enthusiastic about supporting his dear friend Israel. And that's the first move. Bring to the floor. And then maybe that's part of the reason why he got elected. Is that was kind of one of the unifying things, is that Washington tends to be very much a pro stand with Israel, and if you can get the rhinos to vote for you, that is one way of doing it. So, but I'm still giving them the benefit of the doubt. And I'm not saying, I guess since we've given so much money to Ukraine, maybe we could give a little to Israel too. And just short term, we definitely don't want to get too embroiled in a war over there. And then what else do we have? Here's Matt Gaetz revealing dirty details behind the Republican Old Guard's attempt to derail Mike Johnson's vote for House Speaker. And then Matt Gaetz goes into it with this. We don't have time to run the clip, but basically, as he was saying, how long is the clip? This thing is like 13 minutes, so I don't know where to even.
I thought you might have had a couple minutes pulled out.
No, but Kevin McCarthy was trying to. He was objecting to these votes downstairs. So Matt Gaetz says we get through the gestation system early, and as Emmer is withdrawing, Mark, one of these New York freshmen, Mark Molinaro, stands up at the microphone and says, well, instead of restarting the entire process and having a candidate for him and sending everybody home, let's just take a non-binding poll on where people would be and the person who came in second to Tom Emmer, and that happened to be Mike Johnson. And so they voted for a unanimous consent to for the rules to be waived and take a poll on whether Mike Johnson could be the speaker nominee. And guess who objects to that? It was Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy stands up. He says he objects to doing a roll call on Mike Johnson, and which was kind of a shock because Mike Johnson, has been supportive of Kevin McCarthy, even carried water for him, even voted on some bills that he didn't like because he was trying to be a team player with the Republicans. And so then they had a big delay. Candidates announced again. Get Patrick Mahenry running to the House floor, opening it up out of recess, adjourning till noon. And they were trying to set up a play to block Mike Johnson with write-in votes in the process for Kevin McCarthy. So they were, and then they were promising, I guess, all these rhinos and whoever hearings on their favorite legislation. Hey, maybe we can pass some of the bills you like. Make little promises and deals. Maybe you'll get a chairmanship. And it was all a play for McCarthy to return as speaker, and then Jim Jordan would be the deputy speaker in some sort of way. Anyway, then they had a bunch of votes, secret ballots, but then when they called them out to make sure that they could actually be identified making their votes, they were able to get a bunch of votes for McCarthy in secret, but once they made it open, then nobody voted for him, and they did wind up with Mike Johnson as the nominee. So it all kind of worked out in the end. So, anyhow, you're never going to get that perfect candidate. Yes, we'd love to see Donald Trump or Jim Jordan. But, I'm going to be optimistic about the Mike Johnson thing. So I think if we can all agree on that.
Well, I mean, the first act is giving money to Israel, right?
Well, you don't want to send it to more wars, but as long as it's not, going to the Ukraine. I mean, Israel has always been our ally, and while I don't like what they are doing over there, it seems only fair, I guess, that we can help them out for a bit. I don't want to see it being like Ukraine, where we're just constantly billions, every week or so, just dumping money into a black hole. So
I believe what they're doing over there is trying to destroy Hamas once and for all.
Yeah, but where do they stop? That's the
once Hamas is exterminated, removed, demolished, destroyed, erased.
Yeah, but when is that? How do you know when that ever happens?
Well, we'll get into that a little bit later.
That's kind of the So despite providing limitless military aid and unconditional support to Israel, U.S. admits it has no plan for what comes next. So what does that mean? There's always going to be Hamas. It's like the war on terror. It's like there's always going to be something. So it's just like it never ends. Just a way for the military-industrial complex to get unlimited funds and lock down everybody with the Patriot Act, and just get us embroiled in all kinds of foreign wars, which just seek to give more money and power to these big military contractors. So I don't know. Anyway, but we will definitely get into that.
Dreamer Ultra says he's opposed to money going anywhere. Sorry, Mr. Johnson. I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson. Who I am Dreamer Ultra.
Yeah. No, I would like to see that America First. But if he had to appease the rhinos by promising that if he's elected speaker, he will help out Israel, then I guess we're willing to cut a deal there. At this point, I guess, what difference does it make? We're so broke. But as long as it's not a full-time trend. And I really want to start scrutinizing who the Zionists are. Are they really a great ally? Is this a worthy cause? And I hope all of this stuff gets exposed and left on the table, because people deserve to know what is going on and how their money is being spent. I'm tired of this stuff. So,
and I think we might need a new definition of Zionist. It's either someone that wants to keep the state of Israel, or someone that's a Israeli supremacist and a racist, or is it all of those?
That could be.
I don't know.
Could be.
We need a definition.
How come you don't know? You never seem to do the research on that one.
We did the show live. I pulled it up. I said, "Do you agree with?" I asked you. I said, I didn't tell you what the definition was. I said, "I'm reading this off of this definition page. Is this what a Zionist is to you? Do we agree on the term?" And I thought we did, but then it kind of, it's also racist, and it's also extremist.
Some of that is it's a supremacy.
Supremacy.
Right.
All right. Well, okay. So Speaker Mike Johnson.
Do they integrate a lot of people, or no? Because can you marry a Palestinian woman if you're in Israel?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Yeah. Let's see how that works out. Is it racist?
All right. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Annoying topic. I got to get to a few other things first. All right. Yeah. Is that pretty much all we have on Mike Johnson, other than here he is? And I guess he immediately dropped to a knee and gave a prayer and kind of invoked the blessing of God, kind of like our founding fathers did back in the day.
I guess. I don't know.
Seems to be slightly promising in that cesspool, that swamp of an area. But
right.
All right. Well, I don't know much about Mike Johnson. I don't have particularly positive or negative feelings about him. Actions will determine it. I guess the only question I have.
Oh, he's a constitutional lawyer from Louisiana. Seems like a pretty decent guy. Well spoken.
Do we know? I thought you said bud smoking. You said outspoken. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was going to ask: are the same provisions in place where he has to release the J6 tapes, and he has to, like, what were the ones that they had in place that they were able to get rid of McCarthy? The spending bills had to be chopped up bill by bill. You can't just put this omnibus crap together. It's the stuff Thomas Massey and Rand Paul have been pulling their hair out for decades over. It's however many years they've been there. Single item spending bills. So you can't say, "Oh, you don't like the kids of America? I can't believe you're not going to fund Ukraine." It's like, these have nothing to do with each other. Well, the Republicans, they're holding up. I can't believe those war widows. The Republicans are making sure those war widows can't get their EpiPens or some shit because they're trying to get an omnibus bill for $8 trillion. It's like, it is so disingenuous to try to do that stuff. Yeah, hummus goes away. They'll invent a new dish, keeping the food pun going. Thank you. Yes. We'll be okay. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we can all agree we like hummus, right? I don't even like beans, but I do like hummus.
Okay, yeah, you better like hummus. So, Kenneth V is saying we can call him a Zionist. They have a car bias. They're Scion supremacists. The Zionist. Well done. Well done. You guys are funny today. Okay, let's go to the next topic. Okay, something that wasn't in the stack, but a couple of these I just want to bounce to real quick. Let's start with this one. I don't have the headline, but I just want to give you the story. I got to double click this thing. So this is an update with Jamal Bowman. You may remember as we're talking about the craziness, Jamal Bowman has he won who wanted to do the vote, and he pulled the fire alarm. Yes, it's like he's a 13-year-old or a college freshman. So he went out and pulled the fire alarm, and he's like, "Oh, I was in a rush to vote, so I guess I pulled the thing. I thought it was a door. Turns out it was a fire alarm." No, you didn't. No, you didn't. So this is an update here. I just want to touch and go on this. What's that, Blake?
So yeah, he's a former principal, works in schools, and he doesn't know what the fire alarm looks like.
Democrats will pee on your legs.
That's day one stuff. Right.
All day long. These people are the worst. Republicans aren't far back, but Republicans occasionally accidentally get a couple of things right. Democrats almost never get anything right. But this is out of CBS News, if you can believe this tripe, but it is just reporting the who, what, where, when, why. It seems Democratic Representative Jamal Bowman pled guilty Thursday. Is it pleaded guilty or pled guilty?
Pleaded. Yeah. You could say either one. Yeah.
Tomato, potato. Okay, so it's pleaded. That just seems weird. He pled guilty Thursday. He only got a misdemeanor charge for falsely pulling a fire alarm in a Capitol Hill office building before a last-minute vote to fund the government in September. According to the Associate. Now, I thought disrupting a congressional meeting gets you 22 years in prison, Blake. Wasn't that the standard that was set by the Democrats?
They did set that standard. Imagine if that was done by one of the people on J6, if one of the the protesters caught peacefully walking through the Capitol. They would have pulled the fire alarm. Yeah, they'd be in a gulag right now.
Instead, according to the Associated Press, Bowman's only going to pay a $1,000 fine and serve 3 months, not of prison, not of jail time, of probation. I thought you get 22 years for this stuff. The imbalance of the equal distribution of law is shocking, astonishing, appalling. So he's just going to get 3 months of probation, $1,000 fine, a slap on the wrist. I'm sure Pelosi peeled off a few hundreds and gave it to him. Here, go ahead, pay this kid, since she's made hundreds of millions of dollars with her illegal stock trades.
Here's an envelope stuffed with cash. There you go, buddy.
Yeah, she probably went to her banker's boxes that the Patrick McHenry when she was evicted from her hidden office in the Capitol. She probably just rifled through there. It's all $100 bills. Here you go, and a little something for your kids, eh? Here you go. Thanks for doing that. We wanted to demonize those Republicans for not funding the government. You did a good job. It made the news cycle. No, not your fire alarm. Just that the Republicans won't help those war widows and will keep EpiPens from quadriplegics, and they're shutting down animal shelters. It's like, get out of here with that. Anyway, so after which they're saying the false fire alarm charge is even going to be dismissed from his record under an agreement with the prosecutors. Oh, but he'll write an apology letter. They got the gall to say this, quote, Congressman Bowman was treated like anyone else who violates the law in the District of Columbia. Oh my, I almost choked on that tripe. A spokesman for the Attorney General for the District of Columbia said in a statement on Wednesday, based on the evidence presented by Capitol Police, we charge the only crime that we have jurisdiction to prosecute. So Bowman was ordered to appear, and he called it a lapse in judgment. No, I thought he said it was opening a door. I am responsible for activating a fire alarm. I will be paying the fine issued and look forward to these charges being ultimately dropped. Blake, comment on this for a second. It just seems like Democrats always get away with everything and up to bloody murder, and Republicans are abused and ran through the meat grinder for sneezing. Like, if you don't have an equal distribution of justice under the law, you really cease to be a country. Any thoughts on this?
Well, what they're doing is way too heavy-handed, so I won't hold them to that standard. But yeah, it should be like a $10,000 fine, 6 months of probation, and yes, the letter. And yeah, I'm more mad that he lied about it. least just man up and don't play us for stupid. You know you did it. Like, oh, I was walking and I slipped and I didn't know what that was and I grabbed it. Oh, I didn't know it was a fire alarm. Everything started making noise and I was, no, this is bullshit. So, yeah. Or he should even, I don't know, what else could be done against that? He should have his seat challenged for sure. I don't know what else he's up to, but that was I almost admire the stunt to some extent, but you got to, be willing to do the time if you commit the crime there.
Once again, file this under, imagine what the Democrats used to get away with before they got caught with everything. Just imagine all the dirty tricks they used to pull nonstop. Down to Hillary bringing out her Southern accent, saying, I keep my hot sauce in my purse. It's like, you're a clown. But if pre-internet, you would just think, oh, Hillary, yeah, she's a good old Southern lady. She even has hot sauce. She, just like us, she loves hot sauce. And it's like, these people
feel no way tired. Yeah.
Huh?
What is it like? I don't feel no way tired or whatever. It's some like Arkansas quote. It's her birthday too.
This, Blake?
Wish happy birthday for Hillary.
Is that today?
Yeah.
No, I will not.
There were people calling out the tweets from October 26, 2016, when she was showing a picture of her younger self about how she would grow up to be the future president. But it didn't happen. Fortunately for the rest of us, what a nightmare that would have been.
Oh my Lord! I mean, so yeah, you win some, you lose some, I suppose. But if they're going to give this guy probation, a slap on the wrist, and take it off the record, why can't we do that with the J6ers? The non-violent J6ers. These are people that were protesting peacefully. The peaceful protesters. Why not give them the same thing Jamal Bowman got?
Yeah, that's the standard. Yeah, they're setting a new standard. So let's unless there were people committing violence or beating cops with fire extinguishers or something like that, or vandalizing, doing massive, major something, then they should all go. They should all be released immediately. And then even the ones that did some minor mischief should be in I think they've already probably served their time already. Let them go too. Time
served, probation, take it off your record with good behavior, pay a little fine, so be it. Okay, here's another story that came out a couple of days ago that we didn't have a chance to get to, but it's very important. Oh, what is this? Rick Norman. Hi, Rick Norman. Does Rick join us often, Blake? I don't recall Rick Norman joining us.
He jumps in occasionally, yeah. He's frequent with Mike Barra's broadcast.
Good. Hi, Rick.
So it's great to have him here. Yes. Hello, Rick.
Howdy, Rick. He comments, it doesn't seem like it, or so to speak, Brian. It is that way. They can do whatever they want. Rules for thee, but not for me. It is sickening. Well, speaking of sickening, I want to get to this story because this came out a couple of days ago, and we did not have the opportunity to discuss it just yet. But this is regarding the 911 call that details the drowning of the Obama chef. I mean, this is a massive story. This is bigger than massive, actually. So let's see if we can play this. Well, let me read. Well, let's play it and then read a little bit.
We have the tape. I have not.
This better be the tape. Let's give it a shot. Hopefully, this is the tape. Have you listened to it yet?
No, I know the story came out, but I didn't have the audio, so I did not know. And I didn't know how long it would be if I didn't have enough time to play it.
Yeah, it's quick and it's weird. There's several weird moments that I want to discuss. Hopefully, this is it. If not, we're gonna have to go and dig it up, just like we need to dig up this guy's book.
Well, that he was still serious. Cheryl Atkinson, she's one of the most respectable journalists on the planet. So if she's believing this, then I got to take her seriously.
Oh, well, here, let me read what I have pulled up, and then I'll get to the New York Post. If it ever clicks over, it's in pause mode. There we go. Okay. So Cheryl Atkinson, well, let me read Cheryl's after. I think I pulled up the wrong one. I apologize, folks. This would be a little easier if we had a producer that could follow with us. Let me pull up another. Doggone it. I thought I was pulling up this one. Let's try this. Share double share. Blake, can you share it for me?
I can. Okay, here we go.
All right, let's see if this plays. Hopefully it does. Sound is up. Here we go.
911, this is recorded. Where is your emergency?
Back of the property right now. We have our rescue swimmers. They're attempting to go out there right now. Rescue swimmer and an agent driving down there right now to get on the boat. Someone came running up to our back post saying that a gentleman, it's just a guest of the house.
All right, I intended to play the whole thing, but I got several comments there. A male drowning. Does that mean he's actively drowning?
Yeah, why would they make a phone call? If you saw somebody drowning, I think the first thing you would do is try to go and help them rather than go, oh, let me call 911 and sit on hold until I can speak to the operator and then wait 20 minutes for somebody to at least. I mean, I'm assuming they could get, faster rescue because they're in, Martha's Vineyard, but still that's suspicious right away. And then they say a guest of the house.
Not a guest. Specifically, they said just a guest, not a guy who's allegedly writing a tell-all book, not a guy that's been involved in their personal lives and living in the home of the Obamas, not a guy who may allegedly, perhaps reportedly, who knows, involved in some sort of three-person situationship here. But let's let this all play out again, and I'll try not to talk over it until I have the next point to mention.
911, the sign's recorded. Where is your emergency?
We have a male drowning in the back of the property right now. We have our rescue swimmers. They're attempting to go out there.
They have their rescue swimmer.
Yeah, we have like a team of rescue swimmers just on standby and a pond, a glorified pond in Martha's Vineyard.
We have our rescue swimmers for just a guest.
Right now, swimmer and an agent driving down there right now to get on the boat. Someone came running up to our back post saying that a gentleman, it's just a guest of the house.
A gentleman who's just a guest of the house. This guy lived with them for quite a long time, right? I don't know the exact amount of time, but it was a significant amount of time. Right, Blake? Right. All right.
Yeah, probably going. Since he's got out of the White House, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I think he may have not been actively the chef. I'm still trying to unpack all of this. There might be components to this, and I'll dig into the story a little bit underneath. But here, let's continue with this weird call.
Out there drowning. So right now, rescue swimmers going out there. So our rescue swimmers aren't able to locate the gentleman that was reported drowning.
Once again, it's in the present tense. It's not that he drowned. It's that he's drowning. That's a weird way to frame that, right? He said it multiple times. Drowning. Yeah. Like it actively drowning.
Yeah, very bizarre.
All right, let's continue.
The gentleman that was reported drowning.
Yeah, so does this sound panicked in any way? This is like they're cleaning up a mess. This doesn't seem like, oh God, we need help over here. This is very cleanup. It's very cold. It's very detached. It's very bland and straightforward.
They're out in the water right now, but as of now, they don't know where he is.
They don't know where he is. But there's someone drowning, but they don't know where he is.
Okay. They're unable to locate the body right now.
Correct. He's wearing all black. He's on a paddleboard.
He's wearing all black in the water.
Yeah.
All black. What does all black mean? If you have black trunks, you're not going to go paddleboarding. What is he in a wetsuit? He's wearing all black.
40-ish-year-old black gentleman, regular build.
So it's just a guest, 40-ish, regular build, They're really trying to make it off like they don't know who this guy is.
And we have our rescue swimmers on a boat in the area right now.
Okay.
7th or 8th mention of rescue swimmers, it seems.
So they have him and his hat.
Okay. But not him. And do we know if he was wearing a life vest?
I don't think so.
Sorry to ask.
Hey, ma'am, can you advise if he was wearing a life vest or like that?
Hold on, everyone.
Copy, thank you. That's a negative. He was not wearing a life vest.
Okay,
So
there you have it.
Somebody's watching him and saying they'll be able to look out and say, "Oh yeah, he's wearing all black. He's not wearing a life vest," but they're unable to do anything about it. And there's rescue swimmers in the area. Or they're just all standing around watching. Were they ordered to stand down? That's really bizarre. And it's 8 feet of water.
Yeah, there were initial reports
swimmer, but I could have jumped in the damn water and made an attempt to do something.
Yeah, there's a lot. This raises a lot of questions, and I guess I kind of jumped the gun. Cheryl Atkinson, I believe you were starting to mention that she's pretty well-rated journalist here. She says, to those who have followed this story closely, hold on, what are her emojis? What do these mean? A man detective, a briefcase, martial arts uniform. Okay. All right, whatever. You know, it's so weird that we've gone back to like ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. Anyway, to those who have followed this story closely, I didn't look into the Obama chef drowning and don't know of anything inherently suspicious. But hearing the 911 tape, if I understand correctly, I would still ask, why did they call the chef a guest of the house? Why was he wearing dark clothing and a hat to go paddleboarding at night? And so there's all sorts of questions. There, love to see the security camera footage. You know it extensively covered the property. Of course it was. Weren't there Secret Service patrols with boats in the water? Sam is saying, I don't think he still worked for them, so maybe he was a guest. But this person is saying, Aaron Legler, the tone of the voice by the 911 caller I found odd. Yeah, a guy is drowning or whatever, and yeah, maybe send like, I don't know, the ambulance or whatever. Plus, is drowning not drowned? It doesn't take that long to drown where you have time to make a casual phone call.
Right.
You know, so this is very bizarre, Blake. What are your thoughts upon hearing this for the first time? What's your initial reaction?
It seems like there's a cover-up going on. I don't understand why people would just stand around and make phone calls when somebody's drowning in front of them. They're able to watch them, identify them, and do nothing else. I mean, I don't care whether they knew he's a guest or a chef. That doesn't make it, that's not important. But the fact that they're able to identify and not do anything, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't pass the smell test. So
no, yeah, kind of drain that pond, like drain that swamp. What will you find? Yeah, there was an initial report from some lady. I read what I read. I don't know if it's accurate, but they said that someone pulled him under, that they were watching someone being dragged underneath. Like that there was screaming and there was a commotion being made and you could see someone coming up and being pulled underneath.
That could be. Get some like Navy SEAL or something. That's they're going to do an assassination. They pulled him under. I don't know. I mean, it's until they can prove that it didn't. I don't know. I guess we could say whatever we want.
Right. All right. Well, that's a story to follow, because it is a non-zero chance that the Obama spouse is going to run for president. A non-zero chance. So it's a better than zero chance that Barack Hussein Obama's spouse may be put up there as the replacement for Joe Biden when he passes, when he steps down for health reasons, when he's impeached, whatever it is. The person really, and remember, she left right afterward. She was angry. She was seen without Obama for a long time in different places across the globe. It's rumored they're very unhappy with each other and fighting. There's a lot of rumors going on here. So let's keep an eye on this story and try to I don't know. I don't know what else we can glean from it, but I sure would love to see the laptop and see if he had a book in the works. Did he have anything up in the cloud? Did he have any hard copies? Did he have a safe deposit box? Did he, set a dead man switch for this thing? If you're writing a tell-all book on the Obamas, you better have a dead man switch. You better have this in the hands of other people. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You swim with the sharks, you get bit, So anyway, I wanted to highlight those two stories. They weren't in the stack per se, but I do think they're important. All right, on to the next topic. And to all of you sports people who came over here for the Unhappy Hour Sports Show, I promise you we're going to talk about the UFC and Bud Light in a moment. But first off, let's talk about this. Blake, agree or disagree that the FBI boss Christopher Wray, not Christopher Robin, Christopher Wray should face an impeachment inquiry?
Yes, I agree absolutely. And what this is getting into, if I can pull up that story. Actually, I don't know. Let's see. Here we go. There's a couple of them. It could really be, investigating the FBI. We got a senator revealing how the FBI improperly halted the investigation into the Biden family corruption. Did this pull up? Let me go this. Here we go. Okay, so there is and there has been an effort to among certain Justice Department and FBI officials to improperly delay and stop full and complete investigative activity into the Biden family. So this is pretty bombshell stuff. Republican Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley announced Wednesday that there is evidence that the FBI and DOJ attempted to shut down investigative activity into the Biden family and initiated a cover-up of criminal information by labeling it foreign disinformation. So Grassley presented the findings in a letter to Merrick Garland and Christopher Wray, noting that this letter is based on years of investigation, including the provision of information, records, and allegations from multiple Justice Department whistleblowers. And then we could also pull up the FBI and its Foreign Influence Task Force purged sources who were onto the Biden corruption. So the people that were looking into it, reporting it, and they were basically shut down. FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force used a sham assessment opened by FBI headquarters to cull reporting from their confidential human sources throughout the country related to Biden family, and then falsely brand the intelligence as foreign disinformation. So the explosive news suggests the DOJ and FBI's Biden Family Protection Program encompassed many is the involvement of previously but a task force that demands an immediate response by the House, namely the launching of an impeachment inquiry by Director Christopher Wray, under whose watch this task force abused its power and interfered in a presidential election. So imagine if this came out. This was the big October surprise that should have sealed the easy re-election of Donald Trump. And then when this story broke to basically finish off the Biden family, they basically undermined it. Said it was Russian disinformation and including basically censoring the New York Post from even reporting on it or being allowed to speak on Twitter, any of that stuff. So that's major election interference. So it's time, I would think, to investigate the head of the FBI, Christopher Wray. Start there, work your way down, find out who all these whistleblowers are, and investigate the FBI. Because this was a serious corruption. And then, of course, after that, you're going to have to start going after the Biden crime family to find out what they were actually doing and why they were covering all of this up. So Grassley's office noted the senator will seek interviews from at least 25 DOJ and FBI personnel involved in the efforts to investigate the Biden family and shut down related sourcing. Senator asserted that the findings suggest significant political bias infecting the decision-making of not only the Attorney General and FBI director, but also agents and prosecutors, adding that our republic cannot such a political infection, and you have an obligation country to clear the I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, it's sad, Blake. The biggest enemies to the United States, and you saw, God, this is another story. We can never cover enough stories. No matter how many stories we try to get to, there's so many we need to. The leader of what country was that? El Salvador, right? The president of El Salvador.
Really? Yeah.
He went from being in charge of the most vile and violent country around to one of the safest, because all he did was identify the bad guys and lock them up. Oh my God, how novel. What a oh my God, he's a genius. Oh my God, every DA in these big cities paid for by Soros and these big government or these one world government globalists, all they want is trash. They want to ruin the cities. I remember when we went to DC and everything was boarded up. You go to Los Angeles or San Francisco, it's human excrement on the ground. You got junkies stumbling around like zombies and needles everywhere and tents set up. It's like, arrest them. This is super simple. Then the businesses will go back. People will come out of their homes and feel comfortable walking around again. But the president, I believe it's called a president over there in El Salvador, he was talking about it. He said, I've been to these major cities. I've been looking at them in Philadelphia, New York. He rattled off a list of them. Chicago. He's like, it's almost like they're doing it intentionally. He said, these problems to destroy a country, this has to be coming from within. The people that are causing the ruin, these are traitors inside of America. These are people in America that want to ruin everything. Really the worst kind of people. And it's unfortunate because President Trump has mentioned it multiple times, and he's not alone, but I mean it's been completely obvious that organizations like the FBI are actively working to destroy this country, to lie, to overthrow, and just back the deep state Democrats. It's been known. And this is another story related to the FBI, Blake. This is from Ryan Fournier, and he reports this. He says, breaking, allegedly Mark Meadows worked for the FBI as an informant and wore a wire to record all conversations with President Trump while he was the chief of staff for him. This is not only unconstitutional, but it's criminal. This is the government we live with, and it's up to us to change that. He says he's received confirmation from multiple members of Congress and confidential informants that this is true. He continues, not only have I received calls from current members of Congress, I received calls from media who know that who know that I know about this information. I've received calls from former members of Congress who have also explained the same thing to me. This is worse than Watergate. This is going to be the destruction of the FBI. Blake, wow. The intelligence agencies actively are usurping the will of the people.
Yeah.
Actively doing this. They are traitors to this country. They are actively trying to ruin the United States and to frame President Trump.
Yeah, I have been. This is something that Eisenhower warned us about, the dangers of the military-industrial complex, and they have them wearing a wire, the chief of staff wearing a wire in the White House, trying to get Donald Trump to incriminate himself. Unbelievable. At the highest levels of power, trying to take it all over. And they murdered a president in front of us. And then killed the assassin, JFK, Oswald. And then, they took over.
Who else was executed? Malcolm X?
Yeah. Of course, Martin Luther King. Who else did they kill?
Robert Kennedy?
Probably, Robert F. Kennedy. And maybe even John Lennon of the Beatles. He's an activist. They might have killed some of those rock stars because they were too powerful. In the days before social media, those rock stars had a lot of influence. If they're going to have like John Lennon calling for peace when they want, war in Vietnam or what have you. So, there's a lot of people. It's disgusting. the people that have destroyed our country from within. Traitors from within.
As defined by the El Salvadorian president calling that out as well. I do have a point I wanted to make that would tie perfectly here about the government who we've elected and who we allow to be in charge. Because we're trying to deal with this. Like, what do you do? How do you disband these? How do you shatter these agencies and send them to 1,000 pieces across the globe? It's like the Marvel movies or something. You got to collect the stones, and they're all hidden in different areas, and you keep them far apart. You never let them get together. You just JFK talked about that, shattering these intelligence agencies into 1,000 pieces, or whatever the exact quote is. But anyway, I'll bring it up in two more topics down.
CIA or smash it. I don't know. Yeah, splinter, smash. There's various quotes.
Feel free to find that exact quote and pull it up. But in the meantime, I got another show topic for you. I like the music. Rick Norman says, great point, Blake. Blake will never miss an opportunity to post a comment that praises him. He says, great point, Blake. In the late 60s, those rock activists did have a large following. Yeah, they did. I mean, that was before the internet. That was back. Yeah. I mean, who all died at 27? Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix. Yeah. John Lennon might not have been that exact same age, but the point remains. Okay, Blake, next topic. Agree or disagree that if Alex Jones gets 10,000 Bitcoin, gets a 10,000 Bitcoin bounty, he should share with us? Agree or disagree? If AJ gets 10K in BTC bounty, he should share with us.
Yeah, it's difficult to get that sentence together. It can mean so many multiple things, but not necessarily share with us, but just the alternative media as a whole. I think that would seem fair. So let's get into that. Let me pull up a couple of stories. Let me see.
That would be his fair share, Blake. It sounds like you're using communist language there.
I wouldn't quite go that far, but let's see. How about... So this is from Max Kaiser. Let me get this. I got to double click this thing in here. Okay, so he says Alex hasn't confirmed a date or time yet. Is he about to lose the chance to own 10,000 Bitcoin again? And we just spoke of El Salvador. Max Kaiser lives there because now they're like a kind of a Bitcoin haven. And they've got that whole city. They are really cleaning up that country. There's a lot of interesting things happening there. And, of course, the president there is, had Bitcoin as a legal tender there. So it's pretty cool to see. And so Max Kaiser, because back in the day, Max Kaiser gave Alex Jones 10,000 Bitcoin. Max Kaiser he's a Bitcoin maxi. He was like one of the original people that was promoting that. He might have more Bitcoin than Michael Saylor and anybody else. I'm sure he's got way more than Michael Saylor. He was in the game way before Michael Saylor was. So Matt Kaiser, he might be the richest man on the world for all I know. I don't know, but he's going to go on. He says he's going to go back on Alex Jones with a quiz, and if he can answer all 5 questions correctly, he gets his 10,000 Bitcoin because he did give him that years ago. Let's get into the quick story.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this story.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you got to hear this.
Max Kaiser comes to me and he says, I have 10,000 Bitcoins for you.
Oh, of course. Let me reset this page, but it's brief.
I have 10,000 Bitcoins for you.
Oh, really? It's going to do this again. I might have to send this to you, Brian.
This is the future. It'll be the new global currency.
Ah, come on. It's a 28-second clip. Elon Musk's internet is the satellite internet.
He's on record. And I'm like drinking wine.
Oh, come on. Just this is so irritating. Brian, I'm going to send this to you because this is aggravating.
All right. Well, make sure that you follow the New American Media and the Agree to Disagree show on all the platforms. Today, I want to highlight Telegram. find us at TNAM and TNAM Chat. By the way, make sure you're following us there, TNAM and TNAM Chat for the New American Media. All right, let me pull up this article, or this video, rather, that Blake has sent me.
Yes, well, Max Kaiser sent 10,000 Bitcoin when it was brand new, shiny, and exciting. Gave it to his friend Alex Jones. He was a frequent guest on the program, and that was a very generous donation. But at the time, they didn't know as much. But it certainly, in hindsight, turned out to be quite a haul of cash. So, all right, Brian, I'm going to pull mine down. And you put yours up, which I am going to do.
By the way, this is from an account called what is this called? The Bitcoin Therapist.
Don't worry about it.
I
was just pulling up the video up random on Twitter.
Yeah. I was just saying that I think it was Saturday Night Live that did a joke about Celebrity Jeopardy, and it was Therapist. He says, "I'll take the rapist for 800." It's like, that's Therapist. But it literally says the rapist.
Right.
Anyway, now that I said that, Facebook will probably delete this video as well. They deleted our Tuesday show because we were discussing World War II. We're only guessing because they won't actually ever tell you for what reason they take a show down.
Right.
But yeah, I said the therapist and the rapist, and they go, "Oh, we got to pull your show because it's all." Okay, so you got it pulled up. Here we go. Okay.
Max Kaiser comes to me and he says, I have 10,000 Bitcoins for you. This is the future. It'll be the new global currency. He's on record. And I'm like drinking wine and eating the fucking steak at night. And I go, okay, great. I lost the laptop. He put the 10,000 on it. Today, what's 10,000 Bitcoins worth? A lot.
10,000 times 50. $510 million. Yeah.
$510 million.
You fucking idiot. Fuck that laptop.
Max Kaiser comes to me and he says, I have 10.
Okay.
So there you go.
So he just lost a laptop like Hunter Biden? What is with people losing I've lived all these decades. I've never once lost a laptop. These people all lose laptops. Do we believe that this is a legitimate story?
Yeah, it's a legitimate story. I mean, this goes way back in the day. I remember listening, because I was like religiously listening to Alex Jones for years, up through 2016. Probably from 2009 to 2016, I hardly missed an episode. So I used to listen to, Max Kaiser, who was one of my favorite guests, along with, Gerald Celente and Jesse Ventura and a few. But he was always one of these standouts who made it exciting. And that was this new technology. It was something exciting. Bitcoin, what is it? And I even got on board. I bought 1.5 Bitcoin, and I was going to get more, but the exchange that I went through went out of business, and the guy moved to China. It's called Cryptsy. But anyway, so I lost a fortune that way. But yes, Alex Jones, and this is really disturbing. How much money is that? Now, Bitcoin now is only, I think, 34,000. It's eventually going to get much higher. So it's probably worth 340 million, not 510
well,
million.
it might go much higher unless it was created on unless it was created by Vladimir Putin to suck up as many dollars as possible, and then you crash it overnight. That's one of the many rumors. Who's Satoshi? What's the guy's name? Satoshi that allegedly created it. It's very mysterious, Blake. A lot of people dumping a lot of real money into something that can't really even put our hands on.
Well, that's the whole point, is that the government can't get their hands on it. So it belongs to whoever owns it. That's what's great about it. So they can't, take it from you. And we saw with like the Canadian trucker rally, like where they were freezing people's bank accounts for, donating money, they couldn't do the same thing with Bitcoin. So this has enormous potential to change the whole world. So I think it's great. I mean, I'm a little worried about, maybe there's a solar flare someday. That's another story. So I do like the value of, real silver and gold, but Bitcoin could be the absolute future, and that could be beneficial for all of humanity. So it's exciting stuff, and we didn't know exactly how it would evolve back then, but yeah, it's exploded enormously in the value. And Alex Jones lost an entire fortune that could have been used to fund, the alternative media. I don't know exactly what he would have done with it, but I think it's interesting that Max Kaiser is giving him a second chance he's basically saying, here, I'm going to let you have another 340 million, but you got to have me on the show and you got to answer 5 questions correctly.
Okay, what is that all about? What is that? So it's going to be 5 questions. There's no way he can answer. You're not going to give
I don't know about that.
hundreds of millions of dollars to somebody.
No, I mean, they're good friends. I'm sure he would be up for it. But I'm trying to say, well, wait, hold on a second. Maybe we can distribute that a little bit differently. So let me pull up this, go back to that tweet. So here we go. Are we locked in? Here it is. So he says he's going to be back on Alex Jones later this week. That's this week. So I don't know if he's on today or if he's on tomorrow. If he can answer all 5 questions correctly, he gets that second chance. He gets that 10,000 Bitcoin. And if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see me saying, hey, maybe we could split this up a little, Max. And I'm an OG of the Silver Liberation Army and one of the most innovative indie journalists of the past decade. 10 to 100 Bitcoin, Brian, could help us build a whole new network ready to take, how about the new American media, to the next level. Now, I do want to say the Silver Liberation Army was something that was started by Max as well. Before, I don't know if this is before Bitcoin. I think it was actually right around that same time. Max was pushing the, breaking JP Morgan, that if everybody, was able to buy enough physical silver, it would force JP Morgan to buy silver on the open market, which would drive up the price, because the idea is that they don't actually have the silver. They're just doing these like naked shorts and they're propping up the price with paper. But if you force them to actually, prove their stock and enough people bought it, it could actually crash JP Morgan. So let me point out a couple of things.
That's similar to the GameStop, right? It's a run on the banks. Yeah. It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, you could say that in a similar, fairly similar. Yeah. So let me point this out. I don't know if that can be seen, Brian, if you can see that. This is a silver coin with this is Max Kaiser's face on it. And on the back, it actually says Silver Liberation Army. I've got about 10 of these that I purchased. I actually had to pay quite a premium because I think I had to pay like international shipping on them. But like I was saying, I'm an OG of the Silver Liberation Army, part of that movement. And here's another fun fact. One of the very first blogs that I ever had published, because when I started in this, 2010, 2011. 2011 is when I first started my blog, The Eccentric Perspective. And one of the first things I got published was this article that I sent to Max Kaiser that he published on his website. And it was called How to Give Yourself a Hollywood Ending by Joining the Army. And this goes into the with this whole thing with the Silver Liberation Army, and then talking about trading places, because you could turn on the bankers and bring them down and bring the power to the people with the physical silver. And there's also a great mini documentary called The American Dream, just showing the scam of the banking system. So, anywho, with all that said, and I showed that to let me pull up one other quick thing, Brian.
Yes.
This is Max Kaiser. So you notice how I made that mention on his page. And then today, Max Kaiser said, posing this question, agree or disagree?
Yeah.
Israel fighting in self-defense, and so is Russia. I'm not sure if I've been quietly influential or if that's indirectly as a part of me. I've always, felt like I was having a quiet influence somewhere in the alternative media, but I was just never able to really break through and just being acknowledged or mentioned. And as for all those years, I was trying, as you know, trying to get into InfoWars somehow, even if it was, now I realize it was probably not a great fit, but it was still kind of a tough thing. I was kind of trying to reach out and then just being continually ignored, and then trying to figure if I'm shunned or what. I don't know what happened, because it felt like, I was getting some things published even on InfoWars and various outlets. I felt like I was like a rising star at one point in 2011, because that blog was from 2011. And then after that, it was like, oh, I don't know if I got blackballed or what. I don't know what exactly that I did. I was never given an explanation, never really allowed to make a case. And I just felt like I was left in the cold ultimately. But with all this money floating around, if Max is going to give this kind of money, why give $10,000 all to Alex Jones? And I hope he gets a big chunk of it. It's nothing personal against Alex Jones, but how is he going to invest that all? I'd like to, like, he could have funded a whole army with $500 million. I mean, imagine how far that would go, rather than give it to one person and let him. That's just all going to go to InfoWars, maybe, or Alex Jones. And that, it's not my business per se. But I think if you're going to give out that kind of sum of money, it should be to help the alternative media in the information war that we are both involved in. So what do you think of that, Brian?
I mean, I look, the questions that he's going to ask him, I'm curious. Why does it have to be a game show style? And he really has that many Bitcoin sitting around? He's got...
Oh, yeah.
Like, do we know a number of what he... Has it been disclosed?
He's a Wall Street trader from way back in the day, maybe the 80s at least. And he was into this technology. I think he was running the Hollywood Stock Exchange. Like, yeah, he's like a real deal. And he had that show on RT forever, and he's still doing I think it's a podcast, the Orange Pill podcast, featuring Bitcoin. But yeah, he's one of the original big holders, maybe the biggest holder. I'm not sure, but involved with that white paper, like he knows more about Bitcoin than Michael Saylor. So that's how long he's been in that game. So it would not, and he's buying up Bitcoin when it was pennies on the dollar probably. So he could have it, maybe he doesn't. But how should we distribute that? I would love to see Alex, maybe share a little bit. Think about how many people you could build up with a war chest like that. Or do you just keep it all to yourself? I don't know. So that's all I'm saying. Just a 1% cut, Brian, just 100 Bitcoin. Think what we could do building up the new American media. Because we struggle. We both have our jobs and our lives, and we always would 10 years. Like I said, that article was from April 11th, 2011. That's how long I've been in this game. And I've been unable to break through after all of these years, trying to reach out, trying to get a break. Think about what that can do for our careers.
By the way, speaking of, it looks like our Twitter feed is not loading at the moment for some reason. I've clicked on it 4 or 5 times. It will not load. I'll have to check on that. But yeah, it's been one pain in the ass after the other. And, when you do what we do, it also it also turns it into a situation where, how much can we go work out in the general public? We're kind of marked. We're kind of known. There's a lot of people on the left and in the big. Okay, so it's working on this other feed, but not this other feed. Interesting. Yeah, when you commit yourself to this life, it kind of limits your ability. Like if you do get a job, you're constantly worried. Like, am I going to get found out? Is there going to be a crazy radical, a left-wing nut job that's going to try to take me out and get me fired? Now, I could point to more than one occasion over the past X amount of years where I've had strange terminations from job opportunities, if you will.
Yeah.
Moments that are no longer.
We've gone all in. We've sacrificed. Brian, I went through bankruptcy. I gave up everything to try to go all in on 2016 to help Trump get elected. Lost my job, my house, all my money, everything. Ended up filing bankruptcy a couple of years later, and I didn't even get a mention. I didn't get a like. I didn't get a retweet. I didn't get a response to an email. I never got a phone call, even just to say, hey, Blake, we love what you do. Best of luck to you, buddy. You're going to make it. Just keep working at it. Like nothing. It was like I never existed. It's like, was it Bruce Willis and the Ghost movie? Like all of us, like, do I exist? Am I having an impact somewhere? Can I just have that one little satisfaction, even privately? Can somebody just say, hey, Blake, you do a lot. We are watching you. You are influential. keep doing it. But no, it was just like, you're going to deny me and leave me in the cold. And that was the most awful feeling of despair at the end of 2016, feeling like, okay, yeah, we're helping Trump get elected, and then nothing happens. I still can't get that break. I still can't get that opportunity, even if just to network. That was a really tough pill to swallow.
I remember early 2017 was rough for me as well. It was I've never felt so exhausted.
Yeah.
I remember we did that. Remember we did that angel reading at the Conscious Life Expo?
I had to go to the Conscious Life Expo. I had to go clear my head because I didn't know what I was going to do. I got to go back to Vegas, be a bartender again. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go to the Conscious Life Expo in LA. I was living in an RV off the grid in Arizona. Long story. But I mean, I had a nice condo in Las Vegas. I was bartending. I was making good money. And I was like, fuck it. We don't have a country if we don't get Trump to win. I'm all in. I don't care. And I do it all over again. But it sucks when you don't know who your allies are. And if anybody's listening, if anybody's got your back, and I have no one to reach out to, and it felt alone. It was depressing, and it was really hard for me to get over that. It took years, and I went through some shit. 2017 and 2018 were awful, awful years of my life. So, and I'm still dedicated to this independent alternative media, even with all the shit, trying to build up, trying to go through things in 2019. And then, in LA, trying to rebuild. And now, going again back into this since in the COVID era, the lockdown in 2020 has presented new opportunities. So, we're still trying to make that breakthrough, Brian. And I think we deserve to get it. But it's very difficult. So we could use some help from some of our friends that are out there, whether that's a Max Kaiser, Alex Jones, or anybody else that might be listening, the Tim Pools, the people that are above there that could do something maybe to help us move up a little bit. That would be fantastic. So,
well, if you wonder if anyone's listening, Occam Razor, he says he's on suspension right now for not being sociable in his company, and that's pretty messed up. Look, people do listen. People, I get comments, I don't know, all the time or however much you want to say it, but like, people listen. We get the comments. People, by us existing, we are encouraging other people to speak up. We're encouraging other people to follow the news and contribute and call out we are making an impact, but we don't have quite the numbers of the Pools and the Jones and the go down the list of the top 10, top 20. Not yet, but I think we deliver an interesting show. I think we deliver.
We do. We have that capacity to be there, but trying to get there and obtain those and build is extraordinarily hard. So I don't recommend anybody to try to get into the alternative media. If you had any idea how difficult, and take me and Brian, for example, we've been in this 10, 12 years, and it's hard. It's that hard without some help from some other people. And then when you're getting censored from YouTube and whatever, and you're silenced.
Kenneth B says, "Attaboy Blake, we like you."
Right.
Kenneth says, "Attaboy Blake, we like you." Rick Norman says, "Damn, Blake, sorry to hear this."
No worries. This is it's given my life, purpose. I'd like to say maybe I wouldn't do this all over again. I would just, buy a bunch of Bitcoin and go run to the hills. But who knows?
Head for the hills, Ma Barker. Unholy Hoax says, "We're all here. We are all here. We are all here with you, Blake."
We all hear you, Blake. We love you, Brian. Yes.
We love you, Brian.
Yes. It's not that I'm like an egomaniac and I love a big audience. I just want to be able to report the truth. This is important to me, but I'm not somebody who's just constantly driven all day to be like in front of the camera. Hey, look at me. Maybe I should. I don't know. I always saw myself as like working with a team and just being sort of a creative strategist that can help in so many different ways as a team player. And I was like, I could have been a real asset for some of these organizations, but I felt like I was never really given an opportunity, and I never understood why. And it's just the torture of trying to figure out, what did I do wrong, or how did I do this, or it's not fun. But I do appreciate everybody that's here and for your support. And I'd like to take this up a level. So sure, Alex Jones can get the a huge chunk of Bitcoin. That's great. He could use it. I know he's taken a beating at the court system. He's got his own issues and with the InfoWars. But I mean, there's a lot of other people out there, probably like us, Brian, who are trying to break through. And at the end of the day, it's about saving this country, saving America, saving the planet, getting the truth out there, taking off the legacy media. So I think as that whole team, and if we could coordinate, we could absolutely move mountains. So maybe a mountain of Bitcoin. Think what we could do with 100 Bitcoin, even 10 Bitcoin, Brian. We could get people to, help us do editing and promotions and all kinds of things. So anyway, I'm just putting that out there.
All right. I would do amazing things with $1 million. I'm very frugal. I'm very, very sharp. Very, you don't want to say too many things about yourself that come off as super douchey, but I am visionary. I called this the new American media 12 years ago. I knew that the old American media had failed. This was long before, yes, Norm Macdonald was saying, hey, everybody, I'm Norm Macdonald, and here's the fake news. So, he said fake news, but it was just part of his skit. This was long before Trump really said you're fake news and pointed in their faces and blasted it. But I do have that propensity to kind of see into the future. Not for everything, but I do have a good instinct. I do have that. And if I had some resources and I could have a couple of people on a team that could, you're good at this? Cool. Here's what we're going to do. Go. I know what needs to happen, but there's only so many hours in the day. I refer to this often. It's that old Bugs Bunny cartoon where he's standing there at playing a game of baseball and he's holding the bat. And then it cuts to the baseball player, the pitcher, and it's Bugs Bunny. And then he throws the ball. Then he runs over, and then he hits the ball. Then he's in the outfield. He runs and catches it. Then he throws to himself, who's tagging from third base to home, and he tags himself out. It's like you can't play every position, no matter how good. Pick your person. Poole, Crowder, Jones. Go down the list of anyone that has been successful over the. None of them do everything themselves. Nobody can do everything themselves. But I don't know. Did you already pull up the comment that said from Rick? He said, "Man, Blake, I had no idea you've been through so much. You're a good guy, and you don't deserve that."
Yeah, it was a real challenge going through that. 2016. I mean, there were some real highs and some real lows, and then it kept continuing. So I'm in a much more stable spot now. Not ideal, not where I was, but I'm hoping to eventually build this back, and it'll all be worth it in the end. But yeah, we could certainly use some help from wherever we can get it. So
yeah, this is where I'd normally drop our Patreon link, but Patreon deleted our page. Just like Facebook deleted the New American Media page. We shared a Simpsons meme and they just zapped us. We're not doing anything bad. We're doing things right. We're covering the right stories, which are the underreported stories. But we're not out there being reckless, per se. Anyway, I digress. Okay, let's bounce to the rest of the stuff we have in our stack here. But yeah, that would be the perfect opportunity to share our Patreon, but they deleted it twice.
Yep.
Fucking hell. Next.
It's
All right. Oh, yeah. Occam Razor says, it's been a few years. I loved your show, The New American Media. Thank you. Appreciate that. Well, we've always been doing show. I mean, we did take a little bit of time.
There's been infrequent. Yeah, there's been some delays.
We've moved across the country and we've tried different things, but we've never stopped. We're always the New American Media on YouTube, the New American Media on Facebook, the New American Media on Twitter X, the New American Media on Telegram and Signal and Rumble, and like we're going everywhere. The Spotify now, like we're trying to be everywhere. But let's get into this topic here. Thank you, by the way. Appreciate the kind words. Speaking of being everywhere, I was recently at an event, Blake. I don't know if you've had a similar experience. I know you're not much of a beer drinker, though, so I don't know if this applies to you. But let me ask the group. Let me ask all the listeners. Have you had a similar experience to this? I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, and I do a sports show called the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. And so I went to the Cleveland Browns 49ers game in Cleveland. It was a great game. We fought like hell, peacefully and patriotically. We fought like hell, and we won. Last second, we won that game against an undefeated team. Then last week, I went to the Indianapolis Colts. If you've never been to the Indianapolis, what is it called? The Lucas Oil, what is that, Bitcoin?
It's a Bitcoin silver coin. I forgot to display. Pretty cool.
Nice.
Okay. Anyway.
But if you've never been to the Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, I recommend you go. It's like a field house. It's an enclosed dome, or it's like a big field house with a retractable roof. Takes about 7 or 9 minutes or something to close it. But it was open. Gorgeous stadium. Gorgeous place to watch a game. And we won. Another opportunity. We fought like hell, peacefully and patriotically, and the Cleveland Browns won 39-38. So I do those sports shows. I encourage you to check that out. I know some of you follow that now, like Dreamer Ultra, Kenneth B. Some of you guys have migrated to my other groups, and I appreciate having you there. Miles Garrett is from another planet. Blake, did you see the highlight? He jumped from a standstill. He jumped over 2 linemen, landed, then jumped again to block the field goal. It was from another planet. It's alien moves. You've never seen, like, watch the highlights. Just type Browns Colts highlights. It's incredible. But I'm wondering if anybody else has had this experience.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High with the football player.
I don't know if I ever watched it. What are you referencing?
Actor too. I can't remember.
What are you referencing from it?
When Spicoli when he's the car, the football player, and they destroy the car, and so they blame it on the rival football team, and then the football player goes out there and absolutely destroys the other team. But yeah, he was actually jumping over the offensive line to make the tackle. So yeah, it's kind of reminiscent.
Okay, yes. Then he pulled. I've never seen that movie, believe it or not.
What?
Maybe I need to put it on the. I've just never seen it. Put it on the list of things I need to get caught up on. But here was my experience.
Yeah.
I walked in, and it's like, all right, let's find our seats and let's find a beverage. It's usually right in that order. And I walked over, and I was like, oh, okay, here are the concessions, and all right, here are the drinks. And I'm like, all right, here we go. Oh, that's all. You have Bud and Bud Light. Nope. So I had to take a walk. I had to keep walking, and I walked around. I eventually found like a concession cooler with like craft beers. By the way, a couple of those tall boy craft beers at 8.9%, they okay. Okay. So anyway, have you had the experience where you go to an event and it's Bud and Bud Light and you pass? You will go and walk as long as it takes to find an alternative option to just avoid Budweiser and Bud Light because of this recent controversy, because of what they're doing. And, am I the only one? Occam Razor, he's asking, why the Browns? Ew. But no, let me say that's a hereditary disease. I grew up outside of Cleveland, so it was instilled upon me, and it's been with me since birth. But the backlash to Bud Light has been very interesting. And for me, my main question is this. Has Bud Light ever apologized? Blake, have you heard an apology from them? And to the listeners, have you walked past Budweiser and Bud Light to either say, I'm not having anything, or I will find an alternative, hell or high water? Because that's what I did. I would have just easily grabbed the cheap beer and called it a day, but I went out of my way to pay more for more expensive beer just because I'm not doing it. Have they ever issued an apology to your knowledge? Oh, is Blake frozen?
This is my internet was when you sound like a robot, and my internet is really lousy.
Okay. You are back now.
Okay, well that's
You're
good.
back. I can.
Yes, you were at Lucas Oil Stadium and you're trying to get a beer, and all they have is like what, Bud and Bud Light.
Yeah. So do you ever walk past Bud and Bud Light to anything else, or has Bud Light ever issued an apology? So it was like two questions.
I don't think they have. Obviously, they're dismayed by it, and some of the people that were internally were freaking out that was just a stupid idea to get Dylan Mulvaney as a marketer, and it's just destroyed their business. So I don't think they have. It's obviously a huge PR disaster, and it's very embarrassing, and they're just probably just trying to like ignore it for a while, but they can't. And yeah, I've been in those situations, yeah, where it's just like, oh, what do you want? You want Bud or Bud Light? You want Bud Heavy or Bud Light? Yeah, and it's like, no, I'd rather not. But yeah, to answer your question, Brian, yes, I drank a ton of beer through college, through my 20s. And then in my 30s, I took a hard shift towards pretty much not much alcohol, and pretty much went to pot. But then in my 40s, when I do drink, I just kind of have a little wine. I'm not really into the beer as much these days. I'd rather drink the sparklers if we had to, or stick with the wine. Beer doesn't have the same appeal to me. I liked Bud Light. But coincidentally, I actually really liked Michelob Light. That was kind of one of my favorite beers for a time, which was made by Anheuser-Busch. And it's similar to Bud Light, except they used a premium barley, premium hops. It was a much better product to me. And then they got rid of that. They went for the Mich Ultra, which got very popular. But yeah, so I could switch it up. I don't care about beer anymore, but I wouldn't choose it. No.
You know, here's my thing. I am old enough to remember going to school and studying the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. It's the DSM-4, I believe. And it listed gender dysphoria. It does, because it's a mental disorder. You think you're something that you're not. And I mean, I can't think of anything more painful, hurtful than to try to tell somebody that you're not okay being you. You need to chop your parts off and just destroy your own body's plumbing. If you went into somebody's house and said, talk to the homeowner and like, you know, I feel this house kind of feels like it's, you know, like two condos, and I don't know, it doesn't feel like a house. All right, let me chop all your plumbing apart, disconnect it, tear it apart. Now it's not going to function for the rest of your life. You're never going to have a hot shower again. These people will never ejaculate. They will never come. These people are being destroyed. They're wrecking their bodies. They're chopping their parts off. It's not compassionate to tell someone, you know what? You're not okay as you were created. You need to go take these pills and these hormones and these medications and radical surgeries, and we need to slice your wiener like in half, invert it, dig in like some weird hole, and we're going to turn it inside out, and then you can pretend that it's a vagina, but it's not, but then you'll feel right. The people that go through this have a massively higher suicide rate, depression rate. These people need compassion. They need help. Someone needs to tell them, it's okay, buddy. Whatever you are, whoever you're attracted to, just be you. Don't do all this. If you really want to get dressed up and you really want to do your thing, but don't mangle yourself in the process. Don't destroy yourself. And now this stuff has worked its way into schools to the point where teachers' unions are not telling parents when they're identifying with different pronouns, and if they're trying to transition and they're trying to take kids away from parents that oppose this gender reassignment, mangling these what word am I trying to find besides
are we
mangle?
Getting off topic? No, but
mutilation. No, the topic is that's what Bud Light was promoting. This type of you're somebody, and now it's every day is Halloween. I know Bud Light is a 21 and over product, but it's a mind virus. They never apologized for pushing this as something that's like good, because the public clearly spoke and said, this is not, if you want to go to Rocky Horror Picture Show and dress up on Thursday nights, fine. You want to go to drag night at this bar upstairs on a Tuesday, cool. Like, do your thing. Who really cares what you do? But it's perpetuating this idea that people should mangle themselves and push gender confusion onto people. And the public just said, stop, this is enough. You got to be out of your mind putting this person on a can. This person who's openly mocking women. They've never once apologized for that. But now they've cut a big deal. They've cut a deal with the UFC. They think it's going to fix things. Well, it's not. I don't think that anything is going to be fixed until or unless they apologize. Blake, what say you? Tell us what's going on with this Bud Light story.
That's a great point. Yeah, they should. They should do a 180, but then they're gonna piss off the left, I guess. So I don't know. They're kind of stuck, and so I guess maybe they're just gonna try to hope that this just smooths over and goes away. But maybe they should just rebrand and just change everything, or bring Michelob Light back. Maybe that'll be a better choice. But I think they've signed some kind of deal with didn't they do something with not Harley or the Hells Angels or something for Budweiser? Maybe it was Harley for Budweiser.
There was a story from, I believe it was Sturgis.
Yeah.
And they were out there on the main drag and they had this massive, and I think I saw this at Louder Than Life at that big music festival where Budweiser has this mega display and it's like a Bud Village. I mean, there were not a lot of people there at all. And at Sturgis, the place was empty. They had 20 or 30 workers. Empty. The guy was filming it, walking past, just kind of like laughing at him. He pans over. Everybody on the street. The place is packed. Everybody's drinking. Everybody's everywhere else. Nobody wants to be caught dead with that brand. They've become so toxic by trying to become so woke. But, Dana White says, this is good for our brand. Now, I will say, well, I saw Dana White being asked by, what's his name? Sean Hannity. There is something that can be said about this company that does use a lot of American hops and barley and American workers and American trucks and American delivery drivers and American stores. And I get that. But the company still hasn't apologized. They have not apologized and said, you know what? I think we understand that this issue is causing tremendous pain to people that are being convinced to mutilate their children and mutilate themselves. This whole gender confusion thing has gone on way too far. It's gone way past the Rubicon here. And we need to step out of this, to each their own. But we understand that the general public did not care for that. They haven't said any of that. So, I mean, will the UFC bring the brand back? I don't know. Is that the only thing that's going to be served at their fights? Goodness, I'm very interested to see it. So what do we know about this deal?
All right, let's dig in here. So Anheuser-Busch just inked a massive sponsorship deal with the UFC that makes Bud Light the official beer of the fighting promotion. So I guess now it symbolizes the masculinity of gladiator cage fighters, which I historically I like the UFC. I don't watch it like I used to, but there was a time for a dozen years or so where I was really into it, and I watched all the Ultimate Fighter reality shows and everything that was on TV, and get the pay-per-view events. I still would. I wouldn't really pay much for it, but I will watch it if it's on. So I don't even know all the fighters like I used to and all that stuff, but it's still interesting to me. But it's being told it's the biggest sponsorship deal in UFC 29-year history. So Dana White said he's proud to announce we are back in business together. There are many reasons I chose to go with Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light. Most importantly, because I feel we are very aligned when it comes to our core values and what the UFC brand stands for.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't get that. I've always thought Dana White was a real straight shooter, and I've always appreciated that about him. But I don't know what the many reasons are. UFC is so monumentally successful now. I mean, I remember watching it back in the day when he was, it was struggling to get by. And it was kind of this kind of interesting taboo sport. But no, does he really feel like they're very aligned when it comes to core values, or was it just about taking a massive amount of money?
A massive amount of money.
So it's disappointing because it feels like he's selling out to some degree.
Remember, he also started a slap league.
Oh God, that's stupid. And those guys are just getting like massive concussions.
Well, and then the week it was like launched, he slapped his wife in public.
He was probably drinking too many Bud Lights, and I don't know if he was in Central or South America or something. I don't know. He's in some tropical resort, and they got drunk and they had an ugly moment. That was caught, and that was a bad PR move. But it happens. Alcohol doesn't always bring out the best in people, and
no,
it's kind of one of those reasons I don't get involved with it too much. It's more trouble than it's worth usually. So
fair. Occam Razor saying Dana has always been a whiner, and he's mentioning that Bruce did it a decade ago with ESPN. Yeah, ABC, ESPN, Disney. They've been pushing it. This whole fixation with gender confusion really came about when Barack Hussein Obama and his significant other came on the scene. It's very interesting. Nobody cared, live and let live, until they tried to force this into everybody's wheelhouse and try to accept this as normal. The new normal, hating who you are and pretending it's Halloween every day. Okay, is it? I mean, like Halloween's like once a year. It's fun to play dress up. I've put on guy liner before. I did. It was fun one day.
Right.
So I mean, to each their own, but it is a mental condition. It is a psychological disorder when you think you're something that you're not. You see those posts. It's like, the one time my kid was convinced he was a WWE champion and he was going to jump off the roof. And you know what? I told him he's not. And I brought him down from there before he hurt himself. There are people out there really hurting themselves permanently. And that's not okay. That's the repercussions of this push to normalize whatever. Well,
Well, they're going to try to change the image. And Bud Light was one of the original sponsors of the UFC. And I'm sure Dana has close ties and they are bringing it back. But yes, they should acknowledge what they were involved with, even if it wasn't their fault or what have you. It was an awful PR move, and they paid dearly for it.
They're still paying dearly for it, but we'll see how it shakes out. We'll see how it shakes out. All right, we got a couple stories about the Israeli war, and we will get to them now.
Yeah.
Here we go. All righty then. Blake, agree, disagree that American Jews should be persecuted for the actions by Israelis, taken by Israelis?
I'm going to disagree, obviously, here. This is horrible. I'm going to pull up a story from the New York Police Department. Let's see, out of the Gateway Pundit. The New York NYPD rescuing Jewish students at Cooper Union College trapped by menacing pro-Hamas mob. Now, I think it's fine for people to sympathize with the Palestinian people and to, protest for that or make their voices heard or bring, more information to that, cause, because people should know about that. But when you're resorting to violence and you're going after people that are just Jewish, then you lose your cause.
Well, but let me ask for clarity's sake here. Yeah. This is a menacing pro-Hamas mob, and you said Palestinian. Like, are we talking about Hamas mob?
Well, keep in mind the Gateway Pundit,
right?
Well, it's different ways. There's people that are pro-Palestine, and there are people that are pro-Hamas. And I would condemn Hamas. But if people want to go pro-Palestine, sure, go all you will. Do what you got to do. But that doesn't mean that they should be terrorizing Jewish students at this university college. So were they pro-Hamas or pro-Palestine? Keep in mind, Gateway Pundit is very, very pro-Israel. So they do slant their words, spin it a little bit. So they trapped them in a library and a cafeteria, these Jewish students banging on doors and windows and loudly chanting. The police were called in to rescue the students. So they were threatened about in Cooper Union Hall, what have you. So it was a harrowing scene. People were trying to bang down cafeteria doors when they knew that a group of Jewish students were working. So the people at the, pro-Hamas rally could see the Jewish students through the glass windows. They were banging on the windows. That's when they decided to try to get into the cafeteria. It was a pro-Hamas rally calling for an intifada revolution. The source, according to this person who brought this out, saying that they also chanted Free Palestine from the river to the sea, which means to annihilate Israel and the Jews. So,
okay, you want to play that video really quick? Can you full screen it? The top one. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, so that's a little terrifying. They cut it off pretty quick. Yeah, bang on the glass.
They will only accept the extinction of the Jews, the eradication. Like
the
cockroach.
Extremists in Hamas, that would probably be true. And for some of the more radical factions of Islam, that doesn't mean all of them, and it doesn't mean that just random people that are Jews should be persecuted just because they are Jewish, even if they're Zionist or whatnot. There should be civil discourse. It should be the norm.
There's no being civil with these people. There is none. They're
you
calling
can make the same argument with the Zionists. So that's
no. There's no equivalent. No, that is nope. We're not doing that. We are not making an equivalency between them. We're just not.
Okay.
Can't do it. Well, here. Let me play this. This is something interesting I found, and I had this on while I was doing the dishes the other day, and I was like, oh, okay. I think he kind of summed it up. This kind of sums up kind of the way I'm thinking about it, and it kind of directly addresses what we're talking about here, who you side with, and well, these people, and well, on both sides. There were fine people on both sides, and Israel's bad on their side too, and I think, Adam, sometimes you got to go to comedians to kind of break it down in a very, you strip away all the pretense and just kind of let it go. But here's a little clip. And he was talking about, we covered this story on Tuesday with Dave Chappelle. And this is kind of the gist of, they were discussing Chappelle, bringing up at TD Garden Arena in Boston. And he's saying pro-Palestine stuff, and Jews were getting up and walking out, and it turned into a bit of a whole scene. But I just want to play a little clip here, because I think it was kind of well said on this point. I might have pulled it up at the right point. We'll see.
Question is why?
Oh, okay. So where I'm picking up here, he's asking, why is Chappelle even going there? And then he continues to discuss this about Hamas and what the deal is, and who represents who, and who are the people of Palestine? It's like, well, not everybody in Palestine. Well, really though? So here, let him break it down.
Drifting in joke attached to it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I also believe he lights the cigarette as soon as he goes out on stage because there's no smoking policy, and he dares someone to come in and tell him to fucking not smoke. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's setting a precedent already.
He could smoke on stage, but he walks out on stage and lights a cigarette. I don't know. This is I like Dave Chappelle, and I think he's gutsy with a lot of his opinions. I disagree with him on this one, and it's just a weird, it's such a cut and dried situation that it's just weird to be on any drill. It just is. They're the only sane people in that entire region, and the other side does not want to live in harmony with Israel. They want them dead. That's it. We don't need to discuss anymore. Now, we can talk about innocent civilians? Well, this is a risk you run when you are homicidal maniacs and you would like the other side dead. You station put all your munitions in hospitals and in daycare centers. That's what happens. Sorry, you're gonna have to figure something out. You have to. The good people of Palestine need to rise up and not support or elect Hamas. What if the Klan was just running the United States? We elected the Klan to run the United States. And then my argument was, but they're not, most Americans aren't racist. We just stand back and let the Klan run the United States. And, we've elected them. But most Americans are just good, hardworking, honest people who are not racist at all.
I didn't elect Joe Biden. The Klan has been
running the United States for 25 years, and they elected them. Yeah, but most Americans are good, honest, hardworking, God-fearing, without a religious bone in their body. And it's like, okay, but the Klan is running the United States. I don't know what to tell you. Like, well, if that's how it was, then I would say, you know what? I think more people like the Klan in this country than I'd anticipated. That's what I would draw, and I will say the same for fucking Hamas. Okay? So now, here we are, everybody.
Yeah.
A friend of mine called me the other day, and he said,
"Are you gonna pause this, Brian, or no?"
There's one more retort from his voiceover guy here, and then the floor is yours.
He trusts me, and he needed me to try to explain this thing to him as simply as possible. And I told him, comes to your house and kills your dog, and then you go find him and you beat the fucking living shit out of him, and you finally stop because they beg for mercy, and everybody around is going, let him off the hook. And then next week he comes back to your house and kills your other dog.
Are you just explaining him John Wick?
That's exactly correct. And then does it 18 times. Yeah. And on the 19th time, when you say, now I have to kill this guy, everyone goes, it's not two wrongs, don't make a right. It's like, what do you mean? He came into my yard and he killed my dog.
Right.
Now, the first 18 times, I did let him go.
Yeah.
Now we need to kill him. That's where we're at, everybody. It's inevitable, but it's not inevitable to be Hamas, and you're going to let them run Palestine.
All right, Blake, the floor is yours, sir. But I thought Adam and his voiceover guy had a pretty nice way of explaining.
You thought that was reasonable? Okay, you thought that was nice. Okay, you thought that was kind of taking a big picture, look at it, try to be objective. You didn't think that was completely one-sided? I didn't, a lot of those people didn't vote for Hamas. We actually showed the statistics that it was only 47, 50%. So about the same as what would happen here with Trump and Biden. I didn't elect Joe Biden. So do I deserve for Russia to destroy us? Iran, China, should we be destroyed? Hey, well, they voted for Joe Biden. Oh, I didn't fucking vote for Joe Biden. I condemn that. And Brian, I gave you the example last week. You lived in a bad neighborhood. Well, not bad, but there's some bad characters. They did bad things, and sometimes they pissed off the cops and they came after them. So, is it your job to go police all the other people and say, "Hey, no, don't shoot any rockets. Don't shoot at the police because they're going to come after all of us"? Are you supposed to stand up? So if they shoot a rocket off and hurt somebody, and then the police respond by just carpet bombing your neighborhood, hey, it's your fault now, Brian, because you are supposed to get the control. So there's a lot of really shitty parts of that argument that I strongly disagree with. Yes,
but there's also a lot of people that pretend. There's also a lot of people that pretend to be pro-Palestine, but they're really anti-Jew. They're anti-Israel. They're pretending, no, we're just free Palestine, but they're really Hamas. A lot of them quietly cheering this on if they're not actively cheering it on, like Black Lives Matter. What was that? Chicago did Black Lives Matter, whatever city that was.
They're just emotional. They react to everything with that same way, and that's got to stop. And people have to have some kind of a civil discourse. But I mean, I thought that was a bad faith argument from Adam Carolla, who I normally really like. But
what part of it was bad faith? Because they have to go get Hamas. They have to get rid of them.
Oh, okay. So we have to get rid of them by what? Just committing complete genocide and just wiping out the entirety of Gaza? When does it stop?
When Hamas is eradicated.
Oh, okay. Well, that's like eradicating all terror across the world. It doesn't happen. It's never going to happen. So that's just a green light to just do whatever you want. And then to dehumanize them and call them all animals is another way. Then it's justifiable. Oh, well, they're just like a rabid dog. Most of the people are peaceful.
I don't know that most of them are peaceful. And like I said, there's a lot of them who quietly are cheering inside, but they're not letting it out. They're secretly rooting for Hamas, pretending, no, I'm just Palestinian, I'm innocent. No, I'm just a guy. And it's like, well, we didn't vote for Joe Biden. We didn't vote for Joe Biden, right? But if the goal was to remove the Democrats, please remove the Democrats. I'm actively fighting to get rid of the Democrats because they destroy everything they touch. They're warmongers who are actively trying to get us engaged all across the globe with Team America World Police. They're crashing our currency. They're leaving our borders wide open. I am in this battle with you to remove the Democrats from power. 100%. Where is the Palestinian uprising against Hamas if Hamas isn't speaking for them? Where's the opposing party? They elected
peaceful. The majority of these protests are just free Palestine. They're peaceful. When there was a day come on, Brian. When the day of rage happened, the day of jihad, how much violence was caused throughout the world? How much actual violence? Did people die? Were there terrorist bombings? People have a right to say, hey, no, free Gaza, whatever. I don't care. When they shouldn't be supporting Hamas. They need to get educated about that. But the vast majority are just peaceful, free Palestine. That's totally fine by me, and that should be fine by everybody. And people should be concerned, for a humanitarian cause. A lot of those people are innocent, and they're getting the shit blown out of them for some Hamas terrorists. And so it's not even. It's not fair. And those people are not animals. And they don't deserve to die. And also another thing that Adam said is that, he basically alluded to, like, every single hospital's got weapons. And we pulled that out. And it's also a bad faith argument, no offense from you, Brian. And I've mentioned that. Israel could destroy every school, every mosque, every church, every what have you, every hospital. And you would continue to make excuses. Oh, they've got weapons there. Oh, it's Hamas terrorists. Oh, those people, they were just being used as human shields. Oh, Israel has a right to defend themselves. It never ends. It's always the same excuse. Like, they can never commit a war crime.
You know why it's always brought up? Because they always do it. And you make excuses for them who are doing it. That's astonishing to me.
No, I don't, but that's not the way to do it.
Right out of their playbook. They do it time and time again. And now they've graduated to more hostages because Biden has proven how weak he is and how he'll pay up. He'll give the terrorists money so that we can get a little bit of something back. It's right out of the Obama playbook. Absolutely, Hamas does this every damn time. They hide in the most vulnerable places because they think, they'll never get us here. It's like, you have actively engaged in warfare. What number did we say? 6,400 people killed or wounded in that attack less than 3 weeks ago? Yeah, they started a war. Oh, no, ceasefire. People are getting hurt. Yeah, they are, and it sucks. And now we got to go and remove the tumor, and the tumor is hummus. Across the board.
So then how many people have to die before you're going to be okay? Like, every single one?
Literally, word for word, the Ilhan Omar phrase. You are repeating Ilhan Omar's points.
I am not on the same page with her.
How many people have to die?
Fair question.
That's exactly what Ilhan Omar said. As many as it takes to remove Hamas. Hummus.
Okay, well, it sounds like Bush-era foreign policy. How many people do we have to kill? Oh, it just never ends until it's over. As they're lining their pocketbooks and destroying the world and getting us embroiled.
Well, we're talking about foreign policy here. Does this directly relate to this, the Cernovich tweet?
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't have to do it right now, but I do have something that's on. Something that we should definitely cover.
All right. Well,
I don't know. You want to do the people of light, the people of darkness. Let's pull that topic up, and then we'll transition.
I
into
disagree,
that.
Blake. Jews are people of light, and Palestinians are people of darkness.
I am going to disagree, and I'm not going to put either of those labels on either of those people. I think there's people of light and darkness, and it doesn't matter. It's not just limited to one group of people or not. And I'm going to pull this up because it was some dangerous stuff put out by Bibi Netanyahu. It says, we are the people of light and they are the people of darkness. Try to get it on their side. So now it's all justifiable. They can do what they want because, Bibi's basically, he's the chosen people. They're the people of light. And the Palestinians are the people of darkness. So how can we disagree with that? And they're promised to fulfill the prophecy of Isaiah through his.
Hold on.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong one. I didn't think your screen popped up, but it did. I was looking at mine. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, no worries. But I will play this clip. I'll play it on this one from Mike Adams. So if you think ask Netanyahu why Israel's committing genocidal war crimes against civilians, his answer is basically, hey, God told me to do it. He's the chosen of, people are chosen of light, whatever. So don't we normally put people like this into psychiatric institutions and label them serial killers? Well, let's point it out. It's obviously not in the right language, but there is translation. It's the same clip.
Our war against Hamas is a test for all of humanity. It is a struggle between the axis of evil of Iran, Hezbollah, and Hamas, and the axis of freedom and progress. We are the people of the light. They are the people of darkness, and light shall triumph over darkness. Citizens of Israel, October 7th was a very dark and black day in our history. We will fully investigate what had happened at our southern border, the border with Gaza. Everybody will have to provide answers, myself included, but all that will happen only after the war. As a prime minister, I'm responsible for guaranteeing the future of this country, and now my role is to lead all Israelis, the state of Israel and the people of Israel, to an overpowering victory. It is now a time to come together for one.
Well, I think we get the gist of it. I don't think I need to. But, Brian, outside of the United States and Israel, a lot of people are pretty disgusted by this. That includes China, Russia, even North Korea sounding off. Looks like maybe I don't know if there's a ceasefire. People are afraid of the ground force invasion. And there's going to be, I don't know, if China or Russia are going to make an appearance and be like, hey, this has got to stop. So, and the world needs to stand up. There is genocide happening right in front of us. And Netanyahu
I'm pretty sure that's what 6,500 butchered Israelis just suffered because of Hamas, right?
Okay, well, the rest, so how many?
Right?
Again,
they're
Brian,
the ones that started it. And now they're running behind the teacher saying, you can't hit me, you can't hit me. I mean, come on, man. They were in peace with the Abraham Accords until this
go after
bullshit.
Hamas. There's reasons to take out Hamas or whatever, but just carpet bombing civilians and all of those. One of the youngest population, youngest and densest populations. Meanwhile, they're also going after hospitals, churches. People are trying to seek refuge in these places, and they're getting blown to smithereens. It's disgusting. And it's just like they feel like it's completely justified. And it's not. And the rest of the world is
I led
condemning.
today's show with self-defense being justified. I firmly believe that. They were butchered. 6,500 people, dude. 1,400 dead, 5,500 or 40, whatever the hell number I led the beginning of the show with. 5,500, 6,500 people butchered, injured, maimed, wounded in an act of war. Yes, they do go hide in those places. And I see Occam's razor saying that I'm repeating mainstream media. I'm repeating what my understanding of the situation is. And that's why I played Adam Carolla, because he summed it up kind of. It's like, yeah, well, what if Nazis ran America? And it's like, well, America's, full of great people. Well, then why is your government the way it is? Bullshit. If you're electing them, they do represent you. They do speak for you. And the Democrats do need to be removed in this country because they are terrible. Not that Republicans are much better, but my God, Democrats almost get nothing right ever. It's not a mainstream media point. It's just It's just what happened.
Yeah. So anyway, we brought this article up earlier. Despite providing limitless military aid and unconditional support to Israel, U.S. admits it has no plan for what comes next. I don't know how many people have to die or how this can be de-escalated. I don't know if they're going to be calling off the ground assault or not. And Brian, we could even, go into the both sides. You could say that Zionism is settler colonialism. Zionism has some ties to the Bolshevik Revolution. There are some elements of this Marxist Zionists and these people that believe that they should have this homeland and that they should occupy Palestine. We've got Zionism, race, and genetics. It does seem to be, I'm not saying that the Ashkenazis are Nazis, but it does seem like they have a pretty inclusive thing going on. It doesn't seem like they allow, they're not that accepting of their neighbors over there. And they seem to have, I don't know, is Ben Shapiro, is he married to a Goyim or a Latina, or is this a pretty much they stick to strictly to their bloodline? Like I said, if you're in Israel, you can't, an Israelite can't, a Zionist Jew it's very frowned upon to intermingle with, say, a Palestinian or anybody else. Yeah, there are some arguments to make it look like it's not that inclusive, and they're not that accepting cultures, philosophies. So there is stuff to that. So I'm the Zionist Jews, but not to be the least bit anti-Semitic, which I am not. I just want to see peace in the Middle East, for one. It's been a failed experiment.
And why has it been a failed experiment? Because they keep getting attacked by the people in Palestine.
Oh, the people that are that were completely displaced. Like, oh, okay, yeah, you're going to be shoved into this little land here on Gaza. You got no First Amendment, no Second Amendment, no Fourth Amendment, and you're just going to have to deal with it. You got no resources. Here you go. Accept our rules or go. So that's it. That seems okay to you, huh? And if any of them fight back, then they get the heavy-handed destruction by the IDF. That seems fair to you.
Once again, they were in the Abraham Accords, living in peace for several years.
Yeah. Okay.
Weren't they?
So were they going to? Oh, yeah. I guess things were okay for a few years. It was settled down. Do you think that they had a fair shake? Do you think it's a great place to live? Do you think Gaza was a happening go-to? Would you want to live there?
You mean the place where they dig up their water pipes and turn them into missile launchers? I mean, what, man? Like, it's them that are doing it. They're doing it to themselves. Like I said before, there was a quote I heard they were discussing. I don't even know who the two radio people were, just kind of flipping the dial while I was driving. And they were talking about Hamas and Palestine. And they said, well, they never waste a good opportunity to waste a good opportunity. Yeah, if you're kind of peaceful and you're kind of getting along, better things are going to happen. That's what Trump was pushing. Trump was pushing for peace. Are you saying you don't support Ukraine against Russia? What I'm saying is I want him to stop dying. Just stop dying. Stop fighting. Stop. Like, that's what he was putting out there. And ever since Biden's been back in charge, the same cast of slimy characters surrounding him in the deep state, all this stuff is popping off. From Taiwan to Ukraine to Israel, attack after pending attack in Taiwan. Just wait for that one. And yeah, as far as things happening, China already has ships over there. It's a powder keg right now because of the Hamas attack. This wasn't because Israel
started
woke up one day.
They are there because of the
Bibi Netanyahu one day. It was a random Tuesday. The autumn leaves were falling in Israel. People were kindly collecting olives off the branches. And then Bibi Netanyahu said, drones strike a hospital, drones strike a school. That didn't happen. That just didn't happen. Unless he was behind the attack by funding Hamas to attack his own people, and then he told his own people to stand down. I'm not anti-conspiracy because it's been proven time and time again. But until we can prove that's the case, they were attacked, man. And they're attacking back. And yes, they hide in the most vulnerable places. Behind the school teacher. Can't hit me. Can't hit me. You can't hit me. I'm behind the principal. Shut up. It sucks because I liked the peaceful state that we were in until they attacked them. Oh,
peaceful. It was maybe peaceful for a couple of years. That doesn't mean much historically speaking.
You're on a trajectory of peace and it's shattered. This happens time and time again with Hamas, time and time again from Palestine, time and time and time and time and time again, over and over and over and over and over and over. It doesn't stop with these people. So yeah, I'm a fan of self-defense. I know it's more complicated. And had I been there in 1948, I don't know what I would have. How did they even decide? It's a complicated mess. I get that. But in today's world that we woke up in, things were fine until it wasn't. And they've had enough. And they got a right to say, I've had enough. Because I've had enough of this shit. Had Israel attacked them, oh, I would be singing a very different tune. I promise you. I promise you. Had they just one day came up and blasted. Like Danny DeVito. What is it? So anyway, I started blasting. If that were the case, I'd definitely have a different opinion on it. You sent me this one. What is?
I sent you another one. I wasn't gonna play this, but maybe it would give us both a little perspective on what the pro-Zionist and the is it Hamas, or they say it's the anti-Zionist and the pro-Zionist having a hypothetical discussion.
That might be play that one now.
Go for it. And we'll play the one from Cernovich about our foreign policy.
Oh, did you?
I only got a few more things. We'll wrap it up pretty quick.
Do you want the Cernovich or you want the new one?
Put the new one in. We'll see if we can run a little bit of that. It's only a couple minutes.
Oh, is it just like that last guy? Yeah, no. Probably. All right.
No, it's not. Looks similar, but it's not.
Looks similar to that guy. Very disingenuous dude. You're like, see, that guy doesn't want Israel to exist.
That was an actual Jew, Brian. That was an actual Jew who's been to Israel.
I know. He's one guy. I know.
So what? There's a lot of people that think that way. A lot of the Orthodox Jews feel that way. They're the ones that are out protesting and going pro-Palestine. They don't like what's being done to their religion and what Israel, the Zionist Jews, are giving them a bad name.
I have the volume turned up, but I didn't hear anything. Let me try to play this one for you. Yeah, it started playing, but I couldn't hear it. Let me try.
Actually, Hamas started this whole thing. Remember October 7th? Actually, that's wrong. Before October 7th, Israeli security forces killed 248 Palestinians, and 40 of them were children, and that was just this year. And if you want to go back further than that, we can look at the recent history of war crimes committed by the Israeli government. Operation Protective Edge in 2014, Operation Pillar of Defense in 2012, Operation Cast Lead in 2009. Yeah, but you don't mention why Cast Lead happened. Hamas fired rockets into Israel. And that was because Israel broke the ceasefire agreement they had on November 4th, 2008, while the entire world was in euphoria over the United States electing its first black president, Barack Obama. Israel used the opportunity to break the ceasefire agreement and raid Gaza and kill Palestinians. By the Israeli foreign minister's own words at the time, this strategy of breaking the ceasefire was to preempt Hamas into an attack which they could use as a pretext for a much larger invasion. The fact that you don't see that is kind of baffling to me. Well, you're leaving out a lot of context. You got to go back further than that, to 1967. Yeah, let's go back to 1967, when Israel started a preemptive war against Egypt.
This is very one-sided. Let's let it continue. God.
Syria and Jordan, and took more land from Palestine, further enclosing Palestinians into the Gaza Strip. They illegally occupied the Gaza Strip and the West Bank in what has been formally condemned ever since 1967 as an illegal occupation in violation of international law, unilaterally condemned by the World Court, the UN, the Red Cross, the Geneva Conventions, worldwide consensus. The majority of countries in the world all call on Israel to return to its pre-June 1967 borders. Yeah, but you're missing more context. You got to go back to 1948. Oh, go back to 1948. In 1948, Zionists extirpated about 1 million Palestinians from their homes and forced them to relocate to the Gaza Strip. Today, about 70% of all Gazans are considered refugees from the 1948 expulsion.
Wait, today, 70% of people in Gaza are considered refugees from the 48 expulsion. I thought you just told me they were all children. They were all kids. These are 75-year-old people. Who would have been 20 years old at the time, which makes them
1948, Brian. Brian, that's from 1948 that he's talking about. I'm talking about today, and we all know that. That is in Gaza right now. But this is 80 years ago.
Let's just read what it says here. Today, 70% of all Gazans are considered refugees from the 1948 expulsion. That would make them 95 years old, but you told me they're all kids. That doesn't make any sense what this guy said.
The descendants, the descendants of the people from the 1948 expulsion. Come on.
All right. Well, it didn't say descendants. It's anyway.
Extirpated about 1 million Palestinians from their homes and forced them to relocate to the Gaza Strip. Today, about 70% of all Gazans are considered refugees from the 1948 expulsion. This predictably sparked a war. Yes, when you have colonial powers coming into a territory that does not belong to them and forcibly removing people from their land, it tends to get violent. Yeah, but you're missing context. What about before Christ? Invoking the Bible as an excuse to ethnically cleanse a population from its territory is a baby-brained middle school argument. Biblical rights have absolutely no status in the world today. No.
Okay, so he's writing off the historical he wants to bring it to 48 and that's it. He's saying the Bible having okay, so he's writing off history only to where he wants to talk about.
One can say that 2,000 years ago, this is my story of what happened. Therefore, I get to take this land from these people.
Okay.
Well, Brian, it'd be the same thing if the Native Americans wanted to all of a sudden, reclaim Oklahoma or whatever because they had that land, 1,500 years ago. That was our land. So now we should have a.
That's what Hamas is saying. Get out of here, Israel. You have no right to be here. That's exactly what Hamas is saying. Get out of here. You have no right to be here.
Yeah, so it is just the whole idea was created and it was not good to the Palestinian people. I'm not saying that the Jews don't deserve a homeland or what have you, but it hasn't been a very nice intermingling of the peoples. And so they haven't been living together in peace.
Was that the part of the...
It's been problematic. Yeah. No, the other one's the Cernovich video that's just showing foreign policy and what some of our leaders in D.C. Feel about it. So it's interesting. It was investigative or an independent journalist that was talking to some people in Washington about what they think of our arrangement with Israel. It's not, that explosive, but it's interesting.
Right. Let me pull this one up. Did that get into the Zionists or the chosen people of God? That topic was that, or is that a different topic you wanted to discuss?
No, I think that. Oh yeah, well that was just part of the general Zionistic thing, and I think we basically covered
have. We beat our heads into a brick wall. But Cernovich, let's hear what Cerno has to say.
We're talking to members of Congress about Israel and the U.S.'s relationship.
The U.S. has an intrinsic interest in making sure that Israel not only receives our best prayers and offers of success, but our armaments, our money, and our ability to make sure that in a very dangerous reason this democracy survives.
Some biblical prophecies that say that control of Jerusalem by the Jews is important for the second coming of Christ.
This entire matter is based upon faith of our Maker, of our Creator, but it's also faith of a chosen people.
Can you ask why the Democrats
Lauren Boebert,
who have been campaigning to defund our law enforcement.
So that is the chosen people. He just said it.
BLM and Antifa.
Say it again.
So he did say that it was about, protecting God's chosen people. So I guess that was where this was tied into. I couldn't remember.
Oh, okay.
So it fits in this as well.
Gotcha. Is it all right if I just leave it on pause for a few minutes here?
Yeah, we could even, it doesn't have to go too much into it, but this is, a lot of the people in Capitol Hill, they're very religious. And so maybe you could say, agree or disagree. Do you believe that the Zionist Jews are God's chosen people? Should we be involved in their skirmish? Because we have to protect God's chosen people in Israel. Even if they're Zionist descendants of the Bolshevik Revolution, they're Marxist-Leninists, colonialists, and have taken over, and they're supremacists. Are they still the chosen people? Are they still related to the Hebrews of the Old Testament or New Testament?
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, I was also making a joke about just leaving it paused on Lauren Boebert for a moment. Okay, it continues.
There you go. Nice curves.
The Democrats who have been campaigning to defund our law enforcement as their people, BLM and Antifa, riot and loot in the streets. How would you like to see the Capitol Police?
The new government in Israel. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of the U.S. relationship with Israel?
There have been two nations created to glorify God, Israel and the United States of America. I will bless both. I will honor both. I will do all I can to stand and defend them.
Thank you, Congressman. Take care. Gary, do you have a quick second?
Sure, man.
Do you think there's a role of religious extremism here in the U.S. funding and shaping the conflict? A lot of folks who are part of the evangelical movement that want
support Israel.
Support Israel, and we don't really kind of see that same kind of constituent group pushing the other way.
Yeah, I wouldn't label the Baptist or the evangelical community as extreme because I feel like they're following the scripture and what the scripture says about Israel. Those bless Israel will be blessed. I mean, they take it literal, and I'm one of those people.
There's some Christian Zionists that do believe in some of these biblical prophecies. I mean, they're very controversial within the Christian Zionist evangelical community. Yeah, and believing in Armageddon, that there will be a final battle around Jerusalem, and that after that battle, there's a judgment day. Jews will be killed or converted. Jesus will come back. There's going to be a rapture event. What do you think about those kind of prophecies?
I believe Jesus will come back, and I'm going to be on his side.
All right.
Well, so what do we think, Brian? Are they the chosen people of God? Should we get involved in their wars? If Netanyahu is saying they're the people of light fighting the people of darkness. Agree or disagree?
I'm gonna pull a Trump. I want people to stop dying. I woke up in this world. I didn't create it. I didn't write the books. I didn't create a nation state. I didn't do any of this. You didn't do any of this. I woke up and I looked at the news and I saw who butchered, 5,000-6,000 people the other day, and I hate it. I am a Christian, and I've gone to all sorts of churches. I don't even what denomination. I don't know. Evangelical, Baptist, Reformed, Protestant, Lutheran, Methodist. I've been to all sorts of churches. I don't know. I don't get too wrapped up in some of those particulars that person was putting out there. But
all right,
I guess we.
Let me pull up this one. Let me pull up a controversial tweet. Oh, that's a controversial one too. We got basically two more. I've only got two more things on my screen. So it's a quick one, Brian. Let's lightning round. Then should we flood Hamas tunnels with nerve gas if necessary?
I mean, that's where they have the American hostages, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. This is according to a report. I don't know if it's 100% true, but it's saying Israel planning to flood Hamas tunnels with nerve gas under the U.S. Navy supervision, of course, turn the underground tunnels into a gas chamber using internationally banned nerve gas and chemical weapons, according to a report from the Middle East Eye. So we don't know if this is true, but it could be. And so if it is. Well, yeah, that's Geneva Convention. You're not allowed to use these horrific chemical weapons. But is it justifiable, Brian? Since if these are animals, if these are subhuman people who attacked God's chosen people, then is it okay if they nerve gas the whole lot of them?
I mean, they literally went in and got women and children and civilians. This wasn't a military campaign. This is a chicken shit action. If you can't say that these are subhuman people that butchered 1,400 and injured 5,000. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of tough to get started on that one.
So do they deserve to be gassed?
Are we really trying to
If only Brian was at the Hanukkah party at the Daily Wire, off the record, he could be laughing it up, talking about the extermination of the animals. These subhuman people of darkness, high-fiving Benny boy.
The butchers who killed 1,400.
The butchers.
Yeah, those are monsters, dude. Those aren't humans. Those are butchers. That was a music festival. That's the worst of the worst. I'm a musician. Just
a music festival that was like moved towards the border. What did they move it at the last minute because they kind of wanted just some sacrificial lambs because this is a planned invasion. Let it happen. Let some people die, and then that'll give us an excuse to go in and invade. Just like the WikiLeaks said, Hamas was created just for that reason, just to give some extremist version, make these people out to be a way bigger enemy than they are. And then if they attack, then you have full support to go in and destroy your enemies. Perhaps, I don't know if that's entirely true, or maybe it was just it was just the security all of a sudden stopped for several hours, and all of these people get butchered. Freaking hand gliders! I mean, come on, it was so ridiculous.
Essentially,
so
you don't buy what happened at all. Like that's just. A 100%.
I don't believe that there was
confirmed
security. Yeah, and Egypt warned them. And maybe the United States warned them. They're like, yeah, you guys got this under control. You're the most secure area on the planet, so you probably don't need to hear this. But we think there might be some kind of scheduled invasion from Hamas, and then all of a sudden it happens, and they sat around for hours, and nothing was done. I don't know.
I have tunnels at my house. And I had a conversation yesterday with a contractor. I had to find out which particular model he uses. I've been here for a few years now, and I've been trying to deal with the moles in my yard. They tear it up, and I've been trying to find ways. Put mothballs in there. Put water in there. Do this, do that. Try, I don't know. But now this next thing, you stomp down on your foot, and then it kind of sets the area. So you block the tunnel, and then you put this device in, and then when it's triggered, it slices the mole in half. Yeah.
Wow.
I have had it with these moles destroying my property. I've had it with them. Oh, I can't stand it. I literally had this talk yesterday about tunnels and how to get rid of these things. If I could find a way to get them into another container and take them elsewhere and set them somewhere else, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. Rick Norman says, I believe war is man-made. He didn't put us here for this mess. The devil is in the details. Yeah, and all those stories from these three major religions, it's all right there in Bethlehem and in Israel. It's right there at the Temple Mount. Rick says, hang gliders, LOL, reminds me of some low-budget 1975 made-for-TV movie, ABC Movie of the Week. Yeah, and you have the shooter in Lewiston, Maine, escaping in a ATV or a snowmobile or a pontoon boat or, a dirigible or something. Scuba diving. Gophers to humans. Yeah, we're talking tunnels. We're literally talking about tunnels and the destruction they cause. Depp says, remember, that's a biblical story, and the Bible has been rewritten and translated differently all over the world. The Council of Nicaea omitted a lot of the original writings. Yes, under Constantine. Yes. Yeah, there's a whole Apocrypha, which is including... yeah, the Apocrypha is all the deleted books. Red Dawn. Yes, flying in. I've never seen Red Dawn. I need to... So here, I need to watch Red Dawn. And what was the other? Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Fast Times? I can't believe you haven't seen that one. Yeah, that's crazy. That's classic. That's
okay. I'm putting it on my list.
I'm shocked. Yep.
Occam Razor says, Gophers to humans. Okay. He says, and they all suck. I mean, humans kind of do. I liked the period we were in when it was peaceful. That's what I want to get back to. And
all right. Well, I'm going to just share one more in a controversial tweet I posted last night.
How many people have to die? How many more people must die? I sent you that Ilhan Omar thing, right?
I don't know. Probably. I've seen it. I don't like the squad, so I'm not going to back up much. Even if a broken clock is right twice a day, and I'm anti-genocide. What can I say? I'm anti-violence and whatever, anti-war. But I do want to point this out. We did show this the other day, but I want to point it up again because Jake Shields, speaking of UFC, says everyone knows Jeffrey Epstein ran a blackmail operation for an intelligence agency, but do you know which one? It's the Mossad. And then once you do, maybe what's happening now will make more sense. And so I wanted to say, in the most anti-Semitic way I can put this, if this graphic is true, does it look like our government is being run by one big Israeli intelligence network? It's not anti-Semitism. It's just skepticism of Zionism. And yes, we have a hell of a lot of people by percentage. It's just you cannot script that. It seems very strange. And yeah, Epstein was well known to be with the Mossad. So it does seem like we've got a lot of people compromised or on the payroll or blackmailed or who knows. And you've got some of the most high-level people in our government that happen to be potentially Zionists. So are we compromised? Is this why does this change things? Are we being run by Americans that love America, or are we a puppet state of Israel? Very weird. I can go over some of the names again. Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State. Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security. Rochelle Walensky, Director of the CDC. And I know there's some other major people here. Gary Gensler, of course, SEC. Janet Yellen, Treasury. David Cohen, Deputy Director of CIA. Rachel Levine, Assistant Secretary of Health. Garland, Attorney General. Victoria Nuland, the warmonger. Yeah, I mean, some other names that might stand out to others. But yeah, that's a pretty high percentage of people in very prominent positions within our own government. Makes me think that we're potentially compromised, and people should know about that, and people should have not violence against Zionists, but a skepticism and calling the questions and figuring out, are they on our side? Before we escalate things any further. So, I don't know, Brian. What do you think?
Not in favor of escalation.
Do you think our government is being run by a big Israeli intelligence network?
Didn't they cancel?
Do you think we have way too many? Huh?
Didn't they cancel Kanye for talking about that?
No, he was with Nick Fuentes and saying some really awful stuff. I won't even get into that. And we can't mention that awful person's name either. A dictator from back in the day who is no longer around.
Oh, it's yeah, Voldemort.
Yeah, we got banned off Facebook for talking about certain people, even though it was not in any good context. But it's pretty heavy-handed censorship. Brian, I'm going to help you out and post this thing that you have, and then we got to go. It's already 3 hours. I'm going to be. I think this is long enough for a show. That's 3 hours without any commercial breaks.
I know that's pretty impressive.
I get sore. I don't know
the dedication that we give to bring you the important news of the day. Well, this is from Paul Sperry, and I could have also, shown you this. Tucker Carlson. You'd be shocked to learn. And let me make sure I tweet this. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. Blake's at TV's Blake Walley, and the New American Media is at American_media_. Tucker says, you'll be shocked to learn this, but it turns out the whole George Floyd story was a lie. Yeah, I mean, I reported it at the time. Remember how they cheered today when we melt the statues of George Floyd? Because I guess they melted a statue in Charlottesville of Robert E. somebody. Maybe you can't say his name either. But anyway, Paul Sperry says, breaking court documents reveal an extreme and insane mob pressure on prosecutors in the George Floyd case to charge cops despite, quote, no medical indications of asphyxia or strangulation. The dude overdosed. Oh, yeah. See, this is it. This is the statue being melted down. Okay. I mean, but why you delete it? Why? It's history. Put it somewhere in a historical context. Move it to the graveyard of disgraced former whatever. Trying to erase history is so damn stupid, but it's the Marxist tactic. Anyway, they're talking about how Charlottesville statue was in a 2250-degree furnace. And then Sean says they're going to turn it into a statue of King Nebuchadnezzar, George Floyd, and throw us into the furnace when we refuse to bow down and worship it. That was actually kind of clever, but that does bring in two news stories at the same time. So I love when memes collide, and I love when news stories collide, and you can kind of talk about both at the same time. But yeah, the forensic reports said this was an overdose of fentanyl. There were no life-threatening injuries that were identified. And they threw this guy to the wolves because it looked bad. He had fentanyl, enough to kill you, non-fentanyl, norfentanyl, another. I don't know what this he had meth in his system. He had hydroxy delta 9 THC, cotinine, caffeine. But yeah, meth and norfentanyl and fentanyl. That was what killed George Floyd. It looked bad on the video, but his knee was like
oh yeah, the optics were atrocious, and that's why they got him. And there was massive pressure on the prosecutors to get their man. And then we burned half the country down. And it turned out that, yeah, we saw the George Floyd, we got the greater context in some of the videos. He was high out of his mind. He was freaking out, and they were trying to arrest him, throw in the back of the car. He was resisting. He was just flailing all over the place. And then finally they had like 3 cops that had to kind of hold him down. And it looked like, for a lot of people, that it looked like he was strangled or had the life choked out of him.
They need to find a way.
Looked bad, and the people
they need to find a way to get some sort of constraint that's not quite a handcuff, but something that's a hog tie. Handcuff the ankles, handcuff the wrist, and connect the wrist to the ankle, and just stop. Get away from them. Like, let them calm down. Like when people are freaking out when they're high on bath salt. Did you hear the bath salt story wasn't even real? That was another story that came out. That guy was not high on bath salts. He was like, there was nothing in his system to suggest bath salts. But then immediately they came up and said, oh, we have to ban bath salts. And it was like, God, I heard that story yesterday. The guy had his eye taken out and had 70% of his face chewed off by this guy. Guy went nuts. Anyway, but here, I just shared this on our X feed as well. Occam Razor, do we still converse about extraterrestrials? Yeah, man. Absolutely.
We don't. Yeah, we will. We'll cover anything.
All right, here, I'm going to say it right now. Get ready for what's about to happen in Israel. Here's my instinct. Hold me to this. Are we going to see Project Bluebeam? Are we going to see a return of the Mahdi? Are we going to see Jesus Christ? Are we going to see, I don't know, whatever the Jews they're into? Are you going to see a return of a second coming? Are they going to do a Project Bluebeam with like a Tupac on stage at Coachella performing over Israel? It's the return, like to trick people. Oh, I assure you it's in the works. So keep your eyes peeled on that. But I just shared this from Matt Walsh. This is a full clip of the new GOP speaker saying that George Floyd was murdered and we need systemic changes to fix the racism in our country. That's who our speaker is, the guy that bought into this this narrative, Mike Johnson, chairman of the fake news report, I guess. So that's disappointing. You know,
well, we'll see if he changes his tune. So before I was like, okay, well, maybe he did do it, and it was an awful tragedy, but we don't need to burn the country down because of it. Let's, throw the book at Chauvin, and let's everybody.
I believe I tweeted out a Patrick Bet David episode. It was maybe 9 minutes I saw prior to the show, and they broke it down in good detail. But I'll read you this from Kyle Becker. He said the George Floyd race hoax. Floyd OD'd. New testimony indicates he did not die from strangulation or asphyxiation. There is no evidence that the incident was racially motivated. The media's narrative caused riots for months. Yes, the lying legacy media's narrative caused riots for months. Over $1 billion in damage. They said about $1 to $2 billion was paid out in damages, and about 20 people were killed domestically because of this. All in it. Well, I'll continue here. The Russia collusion hoax. Presidential candidate Donald Trump was Presidential candidate Donald Trump was baselessly accused of being a traitor. Illegal campaign spying because of it. The J20 riots. Oh, yeah. Undermined a duly elected president in Trump. The news media awarded themselves a Pulitzer for the hoax. The Michael Brown hoax. Remember, hands up, don't shoot? That was a lie. Brown assaulted Darren Wilson, and that fueled race riots. The COVID pandemic hoax. Oh, yeah, by the way, visit cdc.gov/rumor control, or was it cisa.gov/rumor control, and cdc.gov and cdc.gov/vaccine for countervailing views. Talking about masks, they don't stop anything. Vaccines, they changed the definition of the word because it didn't stop anything anymore. Serious side effects, lockdowns that didn't save anything measurable, businesses destroyed, childhoods ruined. God, I talked to somebody in Bowling Green who had like their whole, I was up in my old college town and talking to somebody, and they said their whole college experience was ruined from COVID. Like, it was so depressing. I couldn't even imagine trying to go through that. Like, if you didn't have that interaction, there was no point to be in college, honestly. Businesses destroyed, childhoods ruined, college experiences ruined, even though children were not significantly at risk. Most people exposed to it, most people got it anyway. It was an excuse to pass unconstitutional election measures in 2020, which undermined democracy. Visit cisa.gov/rumor control because they don't think that unconstitutional election measures were taken in 2020. I disagree. The Hunter Biden laptop, that was a fake hoax. The New York Post story was censored. 51 former Intelligence Committee official, what's IC? Members deliberately lied about it and said it was likely Russian disinformation to boost Biden at the presidential debate. Yeah, and Intelligence Committee? Yeah, including a lot of former FBI leaders or CIA, operative CIA, leaders of the CIA. Yeah, and don't forget Chris Wallace repeated the fine people hoax and ran cover saying that the
everybody drink. Brian said the fine people hoax again. Everybody. Right.
Oh, I do say the fine people hoax. What? Do I say that a lot? Well, the fine people hoax was a hoax. I watched it. They cut up.
Okay, I know. I hear you. All right.
Anyway, many Americans surveyed up to 30% said the authentication of the report, which was authenticated, would have changed their votes. Remember the J6 hoax? Donald Trump did not incite unarmed rioters to overthrow the government. His speech was common political fare. His election objections were entirely legal. There was no insurrection. All of this has done massive damage to the country. But these same people who perpetrated these destructive hoaxes want the power to regulate what is news and what is not news. They want to deplatform, demonetize, censor, suppress, and silence independent journalism. If there is no free press, there is no free country. Your children will grow up to live in an authoritarian state. All right. So, yeah, that was a huge story that this George Floyd thing was all a lie. It looked terrible on the video. I think we all agree with that. But we saw him overdosing. We heard him overdosing. We saw him squirm out of the back of the cop car. He was saying, nobody was touching this guy. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Yeah, because you ate all your fentanyl because he was worried about going to jail. So he overdosed himself. Chauvin didn't do that. He put his knee on the top of his shoulder over by his neck, kept it there, didn't move, didn't press down, didn't do like elbow drops like a WWE, didn't go down off the top rope, didn't wrap a belt and start pulling. It was just, all right, you're going to stay here. Just, you've wiggled out of a cop car. You're just stay here. Okay, you stayed there. And the whole country burned because of it. I don't think Biden ends up president without that. But that's a huge story, Blake. This could have easily been our number one story today.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Because it kind of leaked out. It was over the weekend, but it was last week. But yeah, it's interesting that Tucker Carlson brought that up, and it's official. And we destroyed half the country, divided us all, and we didn't get the facts in.
Yeah. So Patrick Bet-David, he put out there let's start a new movement, a new party, the anti-rush to judgment party. Yeah. So, we led the show off with give it a 72-hour rule. None of the information is going to be accurate. In any war scenario, you can't believe Ukraine. You can't believe Russia. You can't believe Hamas. You can't believe Israel. You can't believe – you just can't. There's no way to differentiate and distinguish what is fact and what is fiction, what is propaganda and what is factual. We just don't know how to do that. We do the best we can, and we'll report – but rushing to judgment and pouring a concrete slab based on what we just heard, please don't do that to yourselves. Be conscientious consumers of the information out there. And that's why we hope you're following the New American Media, even if you may disagree with some of the topics and some of the stances we take. But, Blake and I provide a good counterbalance sometimes, and we're yapping it up just like you may hear in a robust debate elsewhere. But, few of these debates happen. If you turn on Fox, it's all pro one side. If you turn on the other MSNBC, it's all going to be one the other side. Rarely do you sit down and play tennis with each other with ideas. What was that one? Dreamer says we're the best. Thanks, Dreamer. What was the last one from Deb? She said something about the mules. We love you too, Occam Razor. I thought it was Occam's Razor. The most likely solution is probably the answer. If you guys ever watch 2,000 Mules, you can see evidence of it, and that's just a small piece of it. Yeah, well, we're 3 years in. Have we fixed anything? So here we go. What happens next?
No, why would they fix it if it's working in their favor?
Good Lord. Heaven help us, Blake. All right. So speaking of Blake, make sure you're following him. He's at TV's Blake Walley on X, and he is at thenextlevelnews.com on his website. Blake and Brian are the tip of the sword. Thank you. Make sure you mean that in a totally non-homoerotic way. Appreciate that. Also, make sure you're following the Agree to Disagree show and the New American Media in all the platforms. Please, if you're watching us on YouTube today, this could be our last show on YouTube. If you're watching us on X, this could be our last episode on X. If you're watching us on Facebook, it could be our last episode on Facebook. You got to find us on Rumble, on Spotify, on Telegram, on Signal. What other places, Blake? You started a few new ones that you're Kick.
Oh, there's Kick, there's DLive, there's Twitch, and we're going to try to get on Pilled. We're waiting on that.
Okay. Follow us in all the places, please. Yeah. Because, we will continue trying to break down the news and highlight the underreported stories of the day. So, all right. I think it's time to sign out.
And our awesome audience. Yes.
Mainly the awesome audience, not Blake and I. Blake and I, we do what we do, but it's you folks that make it fun. If nobody was here watching, why would we do it, right? It's part of the conversation. Frankie Brown loves us, guys. Thank you. Kenneth B says Z's. I guess he's deuces. He's out.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, it was a long show. This might have been our longest show ever, Brian.
It might have been. There's a lot to cover. Seriously, take all that Israel shit aside and just set it there. There were probably 4 or 5 stories that could have easily been the number one story. If we had these in individual chunks, if we could break these into standalone components, they're all newsworthy, very newsworthy. So many things. I brought up 2 or 3 or 4 that weren't even in our stack that were insanely important, with the chef drowning and with the fire alarm and with so much is happening. But if you show up here, we're going to give you what you're looking for. We appreciate you. We love you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
All right. Bye.